Chapter 1128. Nanfeng Xingge was originally already beautiful, like a maiden from a painting. Right now, her face was flushed red, making her even more beautiful. Although Namhuang Yunxi was a beauty, she couldn't help but feel a little dazed when she saw Nanfeng Xingge's current countenance. If she was a man, she most probably wouldn't be able to resist the urge to marry Nanfeng Xingge. Glancing at Qin Wenin, Namhuang Yunxi smiled. Seems like our Xingge's heart is moved. Yunxi, stop talking nonsense. Don't forget that I'm your protector. Nanfeng Xingge glared at Namhuang Yunxi, pretending to be angry. However, her countenance was still as beautiful as ever. You were the one who teased me first. Namhuang Yunxi laughed. The people in the surroundings all fell into a daze when they saw the two cold and arrogant holy maidens of the Namhuang clan having such a side to them. Their gazes were filled with envy when they looked at Qin Wenin. This fellow's luck with women wasn't shallow, to be able to make the two holy maidens of the Namhuang clan act like this. Most probably, these two holy maidens really did have a favorable impression of Qin Wenin. After all, what sort of characters were the holy maidens of the Namhuang clan? It was impossible for ordinary friends to act like this. They would still be reserved and arrogant. Only when the relationship between them was extraordinary would they reveal their most casual side, which was the bashful side of women. Oh yeah, Yunxi, did you guys see Qing and Jun Mengchen? Are they in the same sacred academy? Qin Wendian asked. Qing and Jun Mengchen's talent were extraordinary. After so many years, they must have entered a sacred academy. He didn't doubt this point, but he didn't know which sacred academy they were in. I heard you say that there is more than one sacred academy. I suddenly remembered a secret realm of a sacred academy. Because I was too weak, I didn't stay there for too long. Now that I think about it, it might be connected to all the sacred academies. Namhuang Yunxi also stopped joking. Her beautiful eyes flickered as if she suddenly thought of something. She looked at Qin Wenin. Are you saying? Nanfeng Xingge's beautiful eyes flickered. Clearly, she had the same thought as well. What secret realm? Qin Wendian asked. Let me show you, said Namhuang Yunxi. All right, let's go. Qin Wendian nodded. After that, the group of them stepped out, leaving this ancient peak as they moved towards the depths of the sacred academy. This region is extremely vast. When we first entered here, we went to a few places. In the sacred academy, there's a secret realm that can bring people into the void. There are many people there, and before this, I was wondering if they were all people from the sacred academy. Now that I heard your words, I realized that there might be other sacred academies that are connected to this secret realm. Namhuang Yunxi spoke. Their speed was extremely fast, and from afar, they could faintly see majestic buildings. It was unknown who built these buildings, and they also didn't know who created this Tiandao Sacred Academy. It was said that the appearance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy was a symbol of the era of ancient emperors. Within these buildings, many silhouettes could be seen. There were actually quite a few of them, and most of them were the human wuxiu. It's right ahead. Namhuang Yunxi passed by numerous buildings and finally arrived before an incomparably majestic altar. This altar was incomparably large, and there was a mystical energy enveloping it. There were thousands of sacrificial altars on it, and on each of the sacrificial altars, there were human figures sitting cross-legged with their eyes closed in meditation. However, the auras of many of them were fluctuating intensely, as though they were experiencing something. What a powerful light! Qin Wendian stared at the astral light on the sacrificial altars. On those sacrificial altars, he could even see the silhouettes of several people from the Battle Saint tribe. They were all seated there, exuding a fearsome aura, as though they had no idea what was happening in the outside world. Numerous beams of cold light shot over. Qin Wendian discovered that the experts from the White Tiger people were here as well. Among them, the royal demon Bai Mao was among them. He glanced at Qin Wenin and coldly spoke. This place isn't a place where you can come with your cultivation base. What does this have to do with you? Qin Wendian stared at Bai Mao as he impolitely spoke. In this sacred academy, everyone in this space was at the immortal foundation realm. There was no need to talk about status, strength was enough. There was also no need to show respect to humans or demonic beasts. Only by being strong would one be able to win respect. If not, the other party wouldn't hesitate to humiliate and kill you. That's right, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just reminding you that this place isn't a place where you can use immortal rank treasures to enter. Once you step onto the sacrificial altar, everything would depend on your own strength. Given your current cultivation base, you would only end up in a miserable state. Bai Mao was as arrogant as ever. Although his voice was calm, there was an extremely thick sense of arrogance within. After you step onto the sacrificial altar, your body will remain at its original location. However, you will feel as though you have entered another space. Within there are many experts. It's extremely mystical. Nam Huang Yunxi transmitted her voice to Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan instantly understood that there was actually such a mystical place. I'll go take a look. Qin Wenyan spoke in a low voice. He didn't know if he would be able to see Qin and Jun Mengchen inside. Be careful, the people inside are all extremely strong and they would kill wantonly. Nam Huang Yunxi reminded in a low voice. Qin Wenyan nodded his head. His silhouette flashed as he directly stepped onto the sacrificial altar and sat down on it. Instantly, a surge of law energy enveloped Qin Wentian's body. A marvelous feeling abruptly gushed forth, and in the next instant, he actually felt as though his soul had left his body. Borrowing the power, he appeared in another space. Qin Wenyan stood on the ground and stared at his hands. He only felt that this was too surreal. This was too mystical. When he was young, Qin Wenyan had once been in a particle world. At that time, when he was cultivating in the Emperor Star Academy, there was a place called the Dream Sky Forest that allowed him to enter the dreamscape. But the feeling he had now was completely different. The energy here was too strong. It was an extremely terrifying law energy. Not only that, a lot of information appeared in his mind. Qin Wenyan surveyed his surroundings, only to feel his heart trembling. This space was like a majestic heavenly palace, a place where supreme experts resided. The stone pillars in the surroundings were over 100 meters tall, and the palaces were incomparably majestic, exuding an aura of majesty. It was as though they were cast from divine stones, resembling a heavenly palace. Experts of the Tianping people's king fighting against the 9 emperors' immortal state quickly come and watch the battle. At this moment, a line of words actually appeared in the air. It seemed to be written using astral energy and floated in the starry skies, incomparably mystical. What a mystical space! Qin Wenyan silently mused. He knew that the ancient words in the air were written by someone. Where? Another gigantic ancient word floated in the air, as though someone was asking. Tong Tian Heaven Stone. Another person inscribed a word in the air. At this moment, a silhouette flickered by his side. A moment later, Qin Wenyan followed after those silhouettes, flying towards a certain direction. You dare to enter the sky-connecting realm with such a weak cultivation base? You are truly courting death. A person soared through the air. He glanced at Qin Wenyan as he emotionlessly spoke. Evidently, Qin Wentian's cultivation base at the 3rd level of Immortal Foundation wasn't enough to enter the eyes of this person. Are the people of the sky-connecting realm all very strong? Qin Wentian asked. The sky-connecting realm is a place that connects the heavens and earth. The experts who enter here are naturally very strong. For people at your level, you would only be tortured to death. However, there seems to be a great battle here that I can admire. I won't kill you then. That person calmly spoke. Upon hearing his words, Qin Wenyan couldn't help but to laugh. He then replied, In that case, I have to thank you for sparing my life. Emichim? That person's eyes flashed. He stared at Qin Wenyan and laughed. You are truly interesting. However, even if I don't kill you, you would still be courting death. Over 10 years ago, I saw your perfect immortal foundation in the outside world. What secret art did you cultivate? Qin Wentian's gaze stiffened. He didn't expect that this person would remember him and wanted to probe some information out of him. You can say so. But how did the words in the void come about? Qin Wenyan pointed to the air as he asked. Do you see those towering astral stone pillars? They are all connected to the heavens. If you use your strength to inscribe the words on them, they would be able to reach the heavens and float in the air. That expert pointed to a towering stone pillar as he spoke. The golden-winged great rock of the Tianping people actually wants to fight against the people of the Nine Emperors' immortal state. Seems like there's going to be a good show. The people of the Nine Emperors' immortal state are definitely the most outstanding characters here. Qin Wentian continued advancing. More and more experts gathered here, and after a long time, Qin Wentian finally arrived at a place. This place was even more majestic and majestic. Up ahead, there were actually numerous stone pillars that towered up to the heavens, exuding a dazzling light. In the surroundings, experts were as common as clouds, all of them staring at the pillars ahead. Over there, the silhouette of an incomparably lofty young man could be seen. This young man radiated boundless golden light, as dazzling as the sun. His gaze was incomparably sharp, able to penetrate through everything. Just casually standing in the air, he gave off a feeling of invincibility, like he was the only existence in this place. The royal golden-winged great rock of the Tianping people? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He could sense the pure bloodline of this young man. The bloodline of this expert from the Tianping people must be extremely pure, a true pure-blooded golden rock. At this moment, a low voice rang out. After that, several figures could be seen flying over from afar. The person in the lead was surrounded by a boundless radiance, exuding an incomparable sense of nobility. He was like an emperor descending from the heavens, unexcelled in the world. He stood in the air, wanting everyone to submit to him. Everyone had to prostrate themselves on the ground, bowing their heads in submission. An expert from the Nine Emperors' immortal state, Huang Wudi. His cultivation base is at the peak of the 8th level of Immortal Foundation, a 5th-tier King-grade Immortal Foundation. He cultivates the Emperor Canon and has unparalleled strength. I wonder if he would be able to stand against this Rock King. Someone spoke in a low voice, the voice drifting into Qin Wentian's ears. So it turned out that this young man who just arrived was none other than the incomparably arrogant expert from the Nine Emperors' immortal state. In addition, he was also a member of the royal clan of the Nine Emperors' immortal state, Prince Huang Wudi. The Nine Emperors' immortal state was located in the central region of the immortal realms and was a supreme peak power. It was one of the 3 great immortal empires in the central region. The princes of the Nine Emperors' immortal state were extremely exalted and their strength was unfathomable. Before this, the Nine Emperors' immortal state had slaughtered many people from the Tianping people. The Nine Emperors' immortal state and the Tianping people had been in constant war, and now, Huang Wudi was going to fight against the royal golden-winged great rock of the Tianping people. Chapter 1129. This golden-winged great rock was an unparalleled demon king. He was originally from the royal clan of the Tianping people and was a pure-blooded golden-winged great rock. He was born to be a king. The moment golden-winged great rock was born, it was already destined to be the royal clan of the Tianping people. Their blood flowed in their veins. The ancestors of the Tianping people were said to be able to cleave apart the sky with their wings, soaring up 90,000 miles. With a flap of their wings, they could traverse through space and go anywhere in the world. The heavens and earth wouldn't be able to obstruct them. This king of the Tianping people was said to be named Jia Nantian. He had awakened the bloodline of the golden-winged great rock, an incomparably noble bloodline of the demon race. His strength towered up into the heavens and no one could contend against him. The Tianping people and the experts of the Nine Emperors' immortal state had clashed many times in the sky-connecting realm. Huang Wudi had even killed many experts of the Tianping people. And now, the incomparably arrogant Jia Nantian finally couldn't endure it any longer and issued a challenge to Huang Wudi. Huang Wudi came here together with several experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state. His aura was extremely shocking, exuding an aura of a king. He was like a paragon of a human emperor, exuding an air of arrogance that towered up into the heavens. His father named him Huang Wudi, most probably because they hoped that he would become an unrivaled character. Only to see at this moment, Jian Nanshan's eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness as golden light circulated around him. He stared at Huang Wuti and coldly spoke, "Before this, I didn't have the time to bother with you. Who would have thought that you would go around bullying my people? From today onwards, I will annihilate you every time I see you." Shameless boasting. An emperor's aura gushed forth from Huang Wuti as a dazzling light circulated around him. He was like an unrivaled character. With a wave of his hand, the people around him all moved away, opening up the battlefield for Jian Nantian. With the king of our race taking action, a lowly human like an ant will be annihilated. At the back, an expert from the Tianping people spoke arrogantly, filled with incomparable confidence in their king Jian Nantian. In fact, there was even a hint of fanaticism in his eyes. The golden-winged great rock king Jian Nantian had dominated the southern regions, and unless his opponent was many levels higher than him, he had never been defeated before. This was their king, an undefeatable king. In the sky-connecting realm, Huang Wuti and Jian Nantian are both supremely terrifying characters. Only a rare few could stand against them. Now that the strong are clashing against each other, I wonder who would be the victor. Everyone mused in their hearts. A battle between supremely powerful characters of this level was something that everyone was filled with anticipation. Cut the crap. Make your move. Huang Wuti stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His entire body was enveloped by the brilliance of the sovereign path, and it was as if he was wearing the armor of a sovereign. It was as if a Ren Huang had descended into the world, and the world had submitted to him. Buzz. The wings on Jian Nanshan's back spread out, radiating an incomparably resplendent light. Those golden wings were filled with a mysterious and powerful aura, causing the souls of those who stared at them to feel that these wings were even more terrifying compared to immortal-ranked weapons. It's rumored that powerful greater demons with royal bloodlines would awaken the pure bloodline of their ancestors. Their blood would flow in their veins, and they would have the memories of their ancestors. Their innate abilities would be innately powerful, and they would be born kings. Someone mumbled in a low voice, staring at Jian Nanshan's wings. I want to see for myself how strong the golden-winged great rock is." Huang Wuti spoke. His body shuddered as a brilliant light radiated from him. With a flick of his arm, a fearsome fist light blasted forth, exuding a majestic emperor might that could destroy everything. However, Jian Nantian closed his wings, shielding Huang Wuti. The fearsome fist light slammed into Jian Nanshan's wings, but the golden light circulating around the wings directly devoured the fist light, destroying it until the fist light completely vanished. Bzzz. A violent shockwave gushed forth as Jian Nantian spread his wings open once more. His eyes were terrifying to the extreme, able to see through the hearts of others. Everyone felt their hearts trembling when they heard that he was able to block Huang Wuti's attack with a single flap of his wings. Too powerful. Was this the strength of a royal expert from the Tianping people? How terrifying were these wings? It's rumored that the wings of a golden-winged great rock had to be awakened, just like the wings of an ancient ancestor. No one knew if this was true or false. Huang Wuti's eyes flashed. His immortal foundation manifested as a supreme emperor appeared in his hands, wielding an emperor sword that commanded the world. His sharpness was simply unexcelled in the world. Jian Nanshan's gaze was as lofty as ever. He stared at Huang Wuti with an attitude of disdain, as though he didn't place Huang Wuti in his eyes at all. Huang Wuti's silhouette flashed as an emperor sword appeared in his hands. His speed was also so fast that it reached a shocking extent. With a single step, his sword slashed out, transforming into a resplendent void tempest that destroyed everything. Jian Nanshan's wings flapped once more. At this instant, numerous luxurious-looking feathers shot out from his wings. Each and every feather was like an indomitable killing sword, capable of annihilating everything, clashing against the void tempest. In an instant, the destructive tempest engulfed the entire space. Just a single attack from Jian Nantian was already so powerful that it caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. "Submit!" Huang Wuti roared. In the air, numerous human emperors descended from the sky, all of them wielding sharp swords as they rushed towards Jian Nantian. This entire space was about to be annihilated. At this instant, Jian Antian moved. His incomparably resplendent wings flickered. In an instant, the crowd could only see light. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed. There was really only light. He basically couldn't see how terrifying Jian Nanshan's movement technique was. The speed of a great rock was already extremely shocking. It soared up to 90,000 miles, its wings cleaved apart the skies, and in the time it took for a breath, it could traverse through space. Such speed only existed in the legends. Given Qin Wentian's current cultivation base, if he fought against Jian Nantian, he most probably wouldn't be able to withstand a single strike. He couldn't even see Jian Nanshan's movement technique clearly. In just the blink of an eye, golden marks appeared in the void, as if space had been cut apart. There, the figures of the emperors were all shattered into pieces, and then turned into nothingness, dissipating without a trace. Abruptly, a raging golden wind gusted. The crowd only saw the shadow of an incomparably gigantic golden-winged great rock appearing, enveloping Jian Nantian within it. In fact, it even enveloped the entire space within it. After that, a boundless golden tempest erupted forth as a golden laceration energy that could destroy everything gushed forth. How powerful! The hearts of the crowd trembled when they saw this scene. That entire space was sealed by the wings. Jian Nantian wanted to tear this entire space apart, causing the heavens and earth to turn upside down. This was the law of destruction in his domain. It was too violent and terrifying. Huang Wudi's body grew even larger. The human emperor shadow behind him stabbed the king's sword into the air, wanting to destroy everything. Huang Wudi placed the king's sword before him as a supreme emperor aura gushed forth, exuding an indestructible aura. It was like there was nothing in the world that could destroy him. The wings behind Jian Nantian flapped. A moment later, the incomparably lofty golden-winged great rock also frenziedly flapped its wings. The destructive wind grew stronger and stronger, while the human emperor shadow behind Huang Wudi also grew larger and larger, standing tall between the heavens and earth, transforming into a supreme human emperor. A shrill screech rang out. The incomparably gigantic golden-winged great rock slashed out towards the human emperor, causing a violent shockwave to engulf the entire space. Jian Nantian continued floating there. He was incomparably calm, as though he didn't place the human emperor in his eyes at all. He was the descendant of the primordial golden-winged great rock. Who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him? Not even the human emperor could. Abruptly, boundless runic light gathered around Jian Nantian. He stretched out his palms and instantly, a terrifying claw of a golden-winged great rock descended from the sky. This claw grew larger and larger, blotting out the sun, containing towering runic energy within. Huang Wudi slashed out with the human emperor sword, yet he actually had no way to shatter the claw. After that terrifying claw actually managed to grab hold of Huang Wudi's body. Huang Wudi's entire body radiated a dazzling light as he transformed into the body of an emperor, undying and indestructible. That claw wanted to crush him, yet it had no way to do anything to Huang Wudi's body. But at this moment, the countenances of many changed. This was especially so for those from the 9 emperors' immortal state. Huang Wudi was actually captured by the claw of his opponent. Although there was no way to destroy his body, he still found it hard to struggle free. That claw unceasingly radiated a terrifying golden light that contained supreme runic energy, slowly tightening around Huang Wudi's body. Bzz. With a flap of his wings, Jian Nantian directly appeared before Huang Wudi. His wings cleaved downwards from the top of Huang Wudi's head, causing the body of Huang Wudi to shudder violently. After that, cracks could be seen on the body of Huang Wudi as cracking sounds rang out. So what if he's the human emperor? The king of my race has descended. Who dares to contend against him? The experts from the Tianping people spoke in arrogance when they saw this scene. Jian Nantian was the king of the Tianping people, a golden-winged great rock. Who could contend against him? Only to hear the human emperor body of Huang Wudi shattering into pieces. Finally, screams of misery rang out as the wings slashed past his head. Finally, the gigantic body of the human emperor shattered into pieces. Huang Wudi's body also dissipated into nothingness, destroyed and sent out of the sky connecting realm. Huang Wudi has been defeated. Jia Nantian is truly a rare opponent. The hearts of everyone trembled. This Jia Nantian was simply too powerful. Although the battle was fascinating, everyone could faintly sense that Huang Wudi hadn't even allowed Jia Nantian to unleash his strongest combat prowess. They didn't know if there were any other experts who could fight against Jia Nantian. Most probably, it would at least require the peak geniuses of the various major powers. Look at the sky connecting immortal rock. Jia Nantian's silhouette is even more resplendent than before. Everyone stared at the sky connecting immortal rock before them. There were many pictures engraved on it, and all of them were human silhouettes. These were the strongest batch of people in the sky connecting realm. The people of the sky connecting realm referred to it as the sky connecting rankings. It was said that if one was ranked on the sky connecting rankings, they would have a chance to obtain rewards from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. At this moment, Jia Nantian stared at the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state. His eyes gleamed with unparalleled arrogance, causing the hearts of the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state to tremble. After that, he spoke, "Kill them all." Yes. Behind him, the experts from the Tianping people all rushed forward, killing their way towards the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state. At the same time, Jia Nantian's silhouette flickered as he transformed into a bolt of lightning. His wings slashed out, instantly killing an expert. In fact, he couldn't even see Jia Nantian's movements clearly before he was killed. The disparity in strength was simply too great. There was basically no way to make up for it. Very swiftly, the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state were all killed. Chapter 1130. Death in the sky connecting realm wasn't true death. Qin Wenin naturally understood this point. Before this, when he entered the sky connecting realm, he saw the silhouettes of everyone seated on the sacrificial altar. This sky connecting realm was merely a world formed from the law energy of the great Tao. However, even if they didn't die true death, they wouldn't have a good time if they were killed here. Saint Lord. A voice drifted over. Qin Wenin turned his gaze over and saw an expert from the Battle Saint tribe standing beside him. Clearly, he was attracted here as well. What do you feel about the strength of this Jia Nantian? Qin Wenin asked. The cultivation base of this expert from the Battle Saint tribe was also very high, at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation. His combat prowess was extremely tyrannical. Very powerful. He should have obtained the inheritance of our ancestor. This is similar to the bloodline of our tribe awakening, resulting in the birth of the Battle Saint Bone. The expert from the Battle Saint tribe transmitted his voice over. He naturally wouldn't reveal the matters of the Battle Saint tribe in front of others. Qin Wenin nodded lightly. The golden-winged rock was the same as the phoenix. Both had the title of divine bird. This Jia Nantian before him was a pure-blooded golden-winged rock and had the inheritance of his ancestor. To the Tianping people, a golden-winged rock was like an awakened paragon of the Battle Saint tribe. He was an innately born king and was naturally extremely powerful. The rarity of a golden-winged rock was even higher than the White Tiger King by Mao to the White Tiger people. From the looks of it, the Tianping people were all extremely obedient to the golden-winged rock Jia Nantian, treating him as their king. What's going on with this Supreme Might rankings? Qin Wenin asked again. He had just entered the sky connecting realm and witnessed a huge battle. There were many things he wasn't clear about. This Supreme Might rankings should be a ranking of the combat achievements of the experts who entered the sky connecting realm. Naturally, the sky connecting realm will also automatically determine what cultivation level you are fighting against. Fighting against those at a higher level should be the most useful. The second is fighting against those at the same level, and it would be best if you are fighting against those at a lower cultivation level than you. Also, the rules of the Supreme Might rankings have yet to be fully understood. In any case, there would definitely be benefits for those who fought against those at a higher cultivation level than you. The Heavenly Tao's Sacred Academy would reward you. Qin Wenin nodded. That's right, The Sky Connecting Immortal rankings should be the supreme might rankings for those who entered the Sky Connecting realm. I understand. The cultivation bases of those who entered this place are all at least at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation. Qin Wenyan glanced at the surroundings as he spoke. Saint Lord, actually, many people with lower cultivation bases only dared to enter the outer regions. This place is the center of the Sky Connecting realm, and the vast majority of those who came here were all killed. An awkward voice drifted over, causing Qin Wenyan to blink. And as expected, when he inclined his head and stared at the surroundings, several unfriendly gazes were directed at him. Clearly, these people were all harboring malicious intents. Let's leave. Qin Wenyan turned and departed. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe followed behind him, moving with lightning speed. There were people following behind them, but the aura of the young man from the Battle Saint tribe gushed forth as a tyrannical battle might permeated the air. The tyrannical might caused many to halt their steps as they stared at the two of them leaving. They didn't give chase, including the expert who was chatting with Qin Wenyan earlier. How do we exit this Sky Connecting realm? Qin Wenyan asked again. It wasn't his true body that entered the Sky Connecting realm, but he felt that it was so real. It was like he was right here, and it wasn't like he could exit the Sky Connecting realm just because he wanted to. There's an exit. You have to go to a specific exit before you can exit the Sky Connecting realm. But normally speaking, the vast majority of people would exit after being killed. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe replied. Qin Wenyan nodded his head. This Sky Connecting realm was truly incomparably mystical. Are there any other marvelous aspects of the Sky Connecting realm? Qin Wenyan asked again. Boundlessly marvelous. There are cultivation grounds, demon spirit grounds, and it's rumored that there were even people who found treasures in the Sky Connecting realm. There's such a thing? Qin Wenyan was somewhat taken aback. The young man from the Battle Saint tribe nodded. There's really no difference between this place and the outside world. It's like my true body has truly entered. There's basically no abnormalities at all. As for the treasures, there's a high possibility that they were left behind by the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Those who are fated will be able to obtain them, and if they manage to obtain the treasures, they can even bring them out. Understood. You can go and do your own things, I'll just walk around. Qin Wenyan suddenly spoke, his words causing the eyes of the young man from the Battle Saint tribe to flash. Saint Lord, there's no need to worry about me. Since I've entered the Sky Connecting realm, it's clear that I want to temper myself. If you stay by my side to protect me, I feel that everything here is meaningless. The Sky Connecting realm is useless to me, I might as well head out. I might as well implicate you and cause you to be unable to cultivate. You guys are following me not because you want to become my subordinates, but because you want to grow stronger. Qin Wenyan waved his hands. Go on, work hard in your cultivation. This Tiandao Sacred Academy is getting more and more interesting. Do your best to raise your cultivation to a higher level. Many thanks, Saint Lord. The young man clasped his hands to Qin Wenyan. Your subordinate will take my leave. After speaking, his silhouette flashed, directly departing from Qin Wenyan's side. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was extremely vast. It was a world within a world, yet also like a spatial dimension. Other than the majestic main world of the Sky Connecting realm, there were actually mountain ranges and wild plains in the 4 directions. This was simply marvelous. Qin Wenyan came to the wilderness from the main world to cultivate. He discovered many people with lower cultivation bases, and his heart was like a mirror. So it turned out that those with higher cultivation bases were all gathered in the main world of the Sky Connecting realm, contending against each other. As for those with lower cultivation bases, they were all gathered in the outer regions of the Sky Connecting realm. The taste of this demon spirit is truly delicious. It's such a nourishing item, it's simply too comfortable to eat. Not far away from Qin Wenyan, a blazing inferno appeared. The temperature of the inferno was exceedingly high. Qin Wenyan turned his gaze over, only to see several experts roasting spirit demonic meat as the fragrance of the meat permeated the air. At this moment, Qin Wenyan suddenly felt a sense of danger. After that, he saw a gigantic demonic figure appearing. This was a berserk golden lion with shocking might. It instantly lunged towards the people below, bringing with it a towering rage. Qin Wendian instantly retreated. He already knew the fate of those people. Since they dared to eat demonic spirit meat, they should be prepared to die under the hands of demonic beasts. After finding a place with no one around, Qin Wendian closed his eyes and cultivated. He wanted to see if this sky-connecting realm was the same as the outside world, where he could cultivate. Very swiftly, Qin Wendian discovered that cultivating in the sky-connecting realm was no different from the outside world. This feeling was simply too marvelous. Closing his eyes, Qin Wendian quietly cultivated. Right now, let alone the Supreme Might rankings, even if he wanted to head to the main world of the sky-connecting realm, it was extremely difficult. He wanted to temper himself and cultivate, hoping to raise his cultivation base to the 4th level of Immortal Foundation as soon as possible. At that time, his combat prowess would be much stronger and he wouldn't have no way to protect himself if he encountered experts from all directions. However, Qin Wendian didn't cultivate for too long before he was targeted. A snow-white leopard demon appeared in the distance. It had a gigantic body and sharp eyes. This shouldn't be a greater demon from the western regions of the immortal realms. Instead, it should be a demon spirit from the sky-connecting realm. This snow leopard seemed to be observing Qin Wendian. It swept a glance at Qin Wendian and Qin Wendian closed his eyes once again. That snow leopard circled around Qin Wendian, wanting to probe him. Yet when it saw that Qin Wendian wasn't moving at all, it finally let out a low roar and lunged towards Qin Wendian. The speed and strength of a demon immortal was incomparably terrifying. It instantly descended and at this moment, Qin Wendian felt as though he was sealed in ice. That coldness seeped into his body, but a terrifying light circulated around him. The snow leopard bit down, yet it bit onto the resplendent runic light. Qin Wendian's palm blasted out with lightning speed, directly blasting the snow leopard through the air as it slammed heavily onto the ground. Its internal organs were all shattered. Qin Wendian's silhouette flashed as he appeared before the snow leopard only to hear a voice drifting over, "Powerful, this snow leopard's cultivation base is the same as yours, yet you were able to kill it with a single strike. Your strength is truly powerful. However, I wonder if Sir is proficient in fire? Do you need me to help you roast this demon spirit?" "Why do I need to roast it?" Qin Wendian asked. "Don't you know? The demonic spirits here treat us as food, and they are also extremely nourishing to us, able to strengthen our immortal energy." The other party was clad in a kasaya, his hair was disheveled and his face was dirty, resembling a monk. "Fine, go ahead." Qin Wendian nodded. The monk walked out, and as expected, terrifying golden flames appeared around him. "Leave it to me. Brother, just you wait to eat the roasted demon meat." That person laughed. Qin Wendian nodded and sat down cross-legged. The other party was in charge of roasting the demon meat, and as expected, very soon, a fragrant aroma permeated the air. The other party had already taken out an immortal-ranked weapon and started slicing off the demon meat. "Delicious. Brother, you must be someone from the immortal Chenbian Gate, right? Actually, what I want to eat the most are the roasted meat of the Tianping people and the White Tiger people. Pure-blooded greater demons are definitely extremely nourishing, able to strengthen one's bloodline. Where are you from?" Qin Wendian silently mused. Back then when he released his astral souls and immortal foundation, many people recognized him. When he saw that the other party was enjoying the meat, he also used an immortal-ranked weapon to slice off the roasted meat. As expected, an extremely delicious flavor flowed into his body, even containing immortal energy, causing him to feel extremely comfortable. "I'm just an ascetic monk, I can't be compared to you people from the major powers. How miserable." That person shook his head. "Just call me Bujie." "Bujie, I don't think you are bitter at all." Qin Wendian laughed when he saw Bujie eating the meat in big mouthfuls. This monk was truly interesting. "Not good, brother, we are fated. Let's meet again another day." Bujie's eardrums trembled. After that, his silhouette flickered as he vanished like a bolt of lightning. His speed was so fast that even Qin Wenyan was taken aback. This Bujie seemed to be extraordinary. Not long after Bujie left, Qin Wenyan suddenly felt a surge of coldness gushing over. His gaze stiffened. Could it be that Bujie already knew of this beforehand? Very swiftly, Qin Wenyan saw the figure exuding the coldness. This person stood proudly in the air, resembling a mystical maiden from the 9 heavens. Her skin was fair and she was incomparably beautiful. However, her entire body was ice cold, and her noble countenance was filled with baleful intent. Let me ask you, was that stinky monk here earlier? That woman seemed to have sensed something as she stared at Qin Wenyan. Her gaze was filled with arrogance as she stared down at him, speaking in a commanding tone. Evidently, her status was extraordinary and she lived like a prince. Qin Wenyan smiled. He didn't bother with her and continued to eat the roasted meat. I'm asking you a question. That woman coldly spoke. Her cold intent gushed forth, shooting towards Qin Wenyan. Chapter 1131. Qin Wenyan inclined his head and glanced at the beautiful maiden in the air. He then smiled. Are you talking to me? The expression of that maiden grew colder and colder. But after that, she seemed to have recognized Qin Wenyan. So it's you, the fellow who had a saint-grade immortal foundation back then. Do you want to eat together? Qin Wenyan swallowed a piece of roasted meat as he smiled. The eyes of the beautiful maiden flashed. After that, she slowly descended and walked towards Qin Wenyan. She then took out an immortal-ranked dagger and started to slice up the roasted meat. Qin Wenyan was somewhat taken aback. This maiden had bright eyes and white teeth, exuding a sense of nobility and beauty. Clearly, she wasn't an ordinary person. She then spoke. I come from the Snowdrift Sage Hall in the central regions of the Immortal Realms. Back then, when you were only at the 2nd level of Immortal Foundation, you already established a flawless Immortal Foundation. Did you have a miraculous encounter and obtained an extraordinary secret art? This maiden was very beautiful. Her eyes were filled with smiles, causing the hearts of men to stir. However, how could Qin Wenyan be so easily tempted by this beauty? He continued eating the roasted meat as he smiled. Yeah, who in the immortal realms didn't have any miraculous encounters? Then what did you obtain? The beautiful maiden smiled. Qin Wenyan surveyed the maiden as he smiled but didn't reply. What do you want? I can exchange it with you. The maiden directly spoke. She couldn't be bothered to hide her intentions. She naturally understood that Qin Wenyan could tell. Qin Wenyan didn't reply. He merely smiled. You want my people? A look of arrogance flashed on the maiden's face as a hint of disdain flashed in her heart. What wishful thinking! However, her eyes were still as bright as ever. She walked to the side of Qin Wenyan and sat down, leaning her body against Qin Wenyan as a fragrance drifted over. If you can help me raise my immortal foundation and condense a perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, at that time, the two of us would become a supreme couple. Everyone would be envious of us. What do you think? The beautiful face of the woman was right in front of him. Qin Wenyan's eyes shone with a bright light, like the eyes of truth. He cultivated the art of truth and his eyes could see through all illusions. Beautiful women weren't that attractive to him. Not to mention, he could sense the disgust in the heart of this beautiful woman. That disgust was so strong that she wanted nothing more than to behead him on the spot. Qin Wenyan's eyes were still smiling, but his heart was cold. He didn't think that the true art would have such an ability. When the other party had some kind of intense thought in her heart, he could actually feel that this woman's disgust towards him was extremely intense. That was why he could feel it. This caused Qin Wenyan to feel a chill of disgust. He wasn't acquainted with this woman at all, yet she stuck herself up to him, wanting to obtain his saint-grade immortal foundation cultivation method. Now that she was by his side, she was actually so disgusted with him, as though he was the one who had offended her. Such a woman was so full of herself, she was nothing but a vile character. Sure. Qin Wenyan smiled. He actually stretched out his hand and wrapped it around the woman's slender waist, causing her to tremble. A cold light flashed in her eyes, but when she looked at Qin Wenyan, Her eyes were still as beautiful as ever. She then laughed in a low voice. Teach me the Saint-grade Immortal Foundation cultivation method then. There's naturally no problem. It's just that the secret art is incomparably precious. You have to satisfy me first. Qin Wentian's palms slid about, caressing that supple body, pulling her closer to him. Staring at that incomparably beautiful face, one couldn't help but to say that this woman was truly a stunner. He coldly laughed in his heart. He wanted to see how long she could endure. His palms continued moving upwards, and finally, the woman exerted some force, pushing Qin Wenyan away as she laughed. Who knows what kind of person you are? What if you bully me and refuse to admit it? Wouldn't I be the one suffering a huge loss? If you teach me the secret art first, I will naturally not disappoint you. What if you act against me after you swindle me of the secret art? Qin Wenyan spoke, his words causing the woman's gaze to turn heavy. Her countenance turned cold as she took a step out, causing the temperature in the air to plunge. In fact, there were even snowflakes drifting down. The coldness was extremely cold. Although I can't kill you here, everything in the sky-connecting realm is real. If I continue to torture you here, I will make you wish you were dead but unable to die. Even if you withdraw from this place, you would still be plagued by a heart devil that you wouldn't be able to forget. The tone of the woman abruptly changed. Sometimes you transform into a prostitute, sometimes you act like a snake or scorpion. To think that the women of the Snowdrift Sage Hall are so filthy. Qin Wendian mocked. As the sound of his voice faded, his silhouette flickered as he directly departed. A pair of golden wings manifested on his back, and he was like a great rock, as fast as lightning. Mph. When the woman heard Qin Wentian's words, she was incomparably enraged. Killing intent gushed forth from her as her soft and slender palms clenched together. Instantly, a marvelous feeling appeared in the air as the entire space transformed into a dimension of frost. Even the air seemed to have congealed, causing Wu Xiu's movements to turn sluggish. Qin Wenyan felt his body sinking into a miraculous state, as though he was in the midst of drifting snow. Qin Wentian abruptly turned. Runic light circulated around his body. His body of true martial was like the body of a god, radiating a terrifying divine glow. The woman descended, and with a wave of her hand, the drifting snow transformed into ice weapons that frenziedly shot towards Qin Wenyan. Suppress! Qin Wentian chanted. Numerous ancient characters floated out, manifesting a supreme suppression-type ancient character before him. The snowflakes that shot over were like immortal weapons, causing the ancient characters to tremble violently. Gradually, many cracks appeared on the surface of the ancient characters. Qin Wentian's lips trembled unceasingly as the ancient characters of incantations gushed forth. Numerous gigantic suppressive characters manifested, wanting to destroy everything. Buddhist chants rang out in the air, akin to the sound of the great Tao, penetrating into the eardrums of the woman, exuding boundless might. Boundless drifting snow soared upwards, engulfing the entire space. A marvelous law energy enveloped the entire space, causing the ancient characters to slow down. Each and every snowflake contained a killing intent within. The woman formed seals with her hands as law energy gushed forth. The space around her was filled with destructive might, enveloping Qin Wenyan, giving him nowhere to escape. I will make you beg for death. The woman coldly snorted. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, exuding an incomparable arrogance as a destructive might engulfed Qin Wenyan. The runes on Qin Wentian's body shone resplendently as a divine glow radiated from him. The might he exuded grew even stronger as a true self-avatar appeared behind him, exuding boundless might. The shadow of a divine turtle enveloped him, and no attacks could break through it. Qin Wenyan stared at the woman before him. His perfect saint-grade immortal foundation manifested the image of a great rock as he blasted out with his palms. Numerous great rocks transformed into attacks that were inconceivably fast, tearing apart all the incoming attacks as they shot towards his opponent. The two of them engaged in a violent battle, causing the entire space to tremble. This woman was the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall and had a cultivation base at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation. Her strength was tyrannical, yet she didn't expect that Qin Wenyan would actually be so tough to deal with. She was 2 levels higher than Qin Wenyan. The difference between them was too great. However, Qin Wenyan seemed to have the physique of a god, unexcelled in the world. Finally, the great rock slammed into her body, causing her to be flung through the air as she coughed out fresh blood, dyeing her robes red. After Qin Wenyan succeeded in his first strike, he continued chanting incantations as he blasted out unceasingly. He didn't have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. This woman's heart was extremely vicious, wanting him to live a life worse than death. Qin Wenyan had learned his lesson from Xiaolingyue. How could he be polite? He only stopped when this woman had no way to retaliate. Floating before the woman, Qin Wenyan gleamed with light. He stood in the air and spoke in arrogance. Wanting me to live a life worse than death? Are you even qualified? Do you really think I'm willing to touch a woman like you? It's just that I know you're hiding a dagger in your smile and have evil intentions in your heart. Hence, I intentionally played along with you. After speaking, Qin Wenyan flicked his sleeves and directly left this place. I, Chu Qingyi, will never spare you. The woman's voice was ice-cold as she berated. Seeing that Qin Wenyan had already left, she glanced at her surroundings. Right now, with her injured body, it wouldn't be easy for her to exit this place. Qin Wenyan didn't kill Chu Qingyi because his cultivation base was still too low. He had no interest in fighting for the Supreme Might rankings, and he knew that it was impossible for him to get on it. He could only stay here to temper himself and accumulate his strength. In addition, this place wasn't real. There was no difference if he killed her or not. Chu Qingyi dragged her injured body and headed towards the exit, preparing to temporarily leave the sky-connecting realm. On the way there were 2 young men whose eyes flashed when they saw Chu Qingyi. Scram! Chu Qingyi coldly spoke when she saw the 2 of them acting suspiciously. She was acquainted with these 2. They were from the Nibelskai's sacred cult and had frequent conflicts with her Snowdrift Sage Hall. Before this, she had ruthlessly humiliated these 2. The eyes of the 2 flickered. One of them spoke. She seems to be injured. Chu Qingyi's expression stiffened as her countenance turned ashen. She gathered her immortal might and gushed forth, causing the 2 of them to retreat. However, upon seeing Chu Qingyi's aura fluctuating, one of them spoke, "Let's probe her." As he spoke, he boldly stepped forward. A gust of poison wind frenziedly gushed towards Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi gathered her frost energy to defend, but very soon, she coughed out blood. The eyes of the 2 of them gleamed with sharpness as the poison wind entered her body. Chu Qingyi's body swayed unsteadily as she sat on the ground. To think that the holy maiden Qingyi would be injured by someone. The 2 of them were as clear as a mirror. They walked towards Chu Qingyi and one of them squatted down, using his hand to lift Chu Qingyi's chin. When he stared at her flawless beauty, a look of greed flashed in his eyes. Scram! Chu Qingyi's countenance turned as pale as paper. She knew what sort of people the Nibelskai's sacred cult were. These people were incomparably despicable and would do anything. Do we still remember the humiliation holy maiden Qingyi gave us? Scram? The other person coldly spoke, surveying Chu Qingyi's alluring figure. Chapter 1132. The night was alluring, moonlight sprinkled on the heaven-span world. That humiliating roar spread very far away. Qin Wenyan changed his location and continued to eat barbecued meat. This barbecued meat was a great tonic, the more the better. No wonder so many people came here to eat spirit demon meat. Qin Wenyan had heard before that the flesh and blood of those great demons were great tonic, even more than medicinal pellets. They were extremely precious and could even be used to cleanse one's body, strengthening one's physique, not to mention eating a great demon. If one could eat the flesh of the Tianping people and White Tiger people, who knew how much of a tonic it would be? This was most likely the dream of many humans. It was just that no one dared to do so. Moreover, if one could obtain a great demon, how great was the potential of a pure-blooded great demon? How good would it be to use it as a mount? Who would be willing to eat it? This was just like how the white tiger people enslaved the human wuxiu, making them their servants and snatching human beauties to enjoy. Demons and humans were opposing each other most of the time. It seems to be that woman's voice? Qin Wentian's gaze flickered. That woman's previous actions had indeed caused Qin Wentian to feel disgusted. She approached him wanting to obtain the secret art he cultivated, yet at the same time, she had evil intentions in her heart. She wanted him to beg for death but couldn't. Her heart was filled with viciousness. He didn't even know her at all. After injuring her, if such a great beauty were to encounter some evil people, it would be easy for her to have evil thoughts and suffer the most humiliating thing. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered, moving with lightning speed as he chased after the voice. There seemed to be a third eye in the center of his brows that had terrifying sensory abilities. He returned to the location where he fought earlier and faintly chased after the aura of the other party. In a cave in the mountain far away, two men placed Chu Qingyi's body on the ground. Staring at her flawless body, their eyes gleamed with a wild light. The disciples of the Nibelsky sacred cult were all extremely vicious and sinister in nature. What sort of beauty was Chu Qingyi? She was also the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall and was usually lofty and unexcelled in the world. Yet they were actually humiliated by Chu Qingyi. Right now, Chu Qingyi was at their mercy. How could the two of them not harbor evil thoughts? If they could humiliate this holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, how joyous would that be? Chu Qingyi laid on the ground as tears flowed from her eyes. Her eyes were filled with grief and indignation, as though she was in so much pain that she wished she was dead. What sort of character was she? The holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, a lofty existence, unexcelled in the world. Ordinary men couldn't even reach her. She wasn't even willing to cast a glance at them. In her eyes, only the most outstanding geniuses were worthy of her. There were many who pursued her, and among them, there were no lack of supreme characters. For example, a certain supreme genius from the Lightning God Hall had always been pursuing her. But now, she actually suffered such humiliation, a life worse than death. How beautiful! The eyes of a young man from the Nibelsky sacred cult gleamed with an evil light. Even if this isn't the real world, there's no difference. Chu Qingyi, you are so lofty, acting so holy and unreachable. Have you ever thought that such a day would come? The two of them walked up and squatted down. Their palms slowly slid across Chu Qingyi's body. Chu Qingyi's body trembled, yet she had no strength to resist. Even if this is the Tiandao Sacred Academy, I will kill you all. Chu Qingyi's voice was incomparably cold. The two of them laughed uproariously. Chu Qingyi, you are truly arrogant. You even dare to act like this at this moment. Chu Qingyi closed her eyes. Her body was still trembling, as though she was resigned to her fate. Bang! At this moment, the restriction of the cave was broken as a figure flashed over. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The scene before him was just as he had guessed. He glanced at the perfect figure of Chu Qingyi only to see that Chu Qingyi had also opened her eyes and was staring at Qin Wentian. Hatred and humiliation could be seen in her eyes. Boom! A dazzling light flashed as Qin Wentian stepped out, moving towards the two of them. Poison qi gushed forth from the two of them as a terrifying corrosive energy enveloped this entire space. Qin Wentian's body shone with a divine light, impervious to all arts. The moment the poison qi and corrosive energy came into contact with his body, they would all be destroyed. That terrifying physique of his seemed to have an innate ability to counter such energy. Stepping out, Qin Wentian appeared before one of them. God's hand blasted out, wanting to destroy everything. With a thunderous boom, that person's body was directly destroyed by the gigantic God's hand. He wasn't even able to withstand a single strike. The other person's palm instantly slammed onto Qin Wentian's body. However, his cultivation base was the same as Qin Wentian's. He actually couldn't even move Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he blasted out another palm strike, wanting to destroy that person. Do you want to humiliate me? I will definitely make you beg for death. Chu Qingyi saw Qin Wentian walking towards her. However, she only saw Qin Wenyin waving his hand as a beam of destructive light blasted out, wanting to kill Chu Qingyi. Right now, Chu Qingyi most probably wanted to die a quick death in the sky-connecting realm, ending her life here. Although Chu Qingyi wanted to make Qin Wenyin suffer a fate worse than death, Qin Wenyin had never thought of using such a method to humiliate a woman. He directly ended her life. Humans had a bottom line. Even if Chu Qingyi wasn't a good person, he could still kill her. However, he wouldn't be as evil as the people from the Nibelski's sacred cult. As for what Chu Qingyi would think, Qin Wenyin didn't care. Even if she hated him to the core, Qin Wenyin had a clear conscience. From the start, it was Chu Qingyi who took the initiative to provoke him. He felt that it was best for him to come and save Chu Qingyi. He had already done his best to not let her down. Tiandao's Sacred Academy. On one of the altars on the sky-connecting altar, Chu Qingyi's body was shaken off the altar and fell to the ground. She coughed, and there were actually traces of blood. She felt weak all over, as though she had suffered an intense injury. However, the injury was even more severe on her spirit. Her eyes were filled with incomparably intense hatred as her delicate body trembled slightly. She actually suffered such humiliation in the sky-connecting realm. Her eyes were filled with terrifying hatred. She clenched her fists tightly and wanted to scream in grief and indignation. However, she forcibly stopped herself and didn't say anything. Holy Maiden! At the side, a few silhouettes flickered over as they stared at Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi stood up and spoke, "I'm fine." "Qingyi, what's wrong with you? Earlier I saw you trembling." At this moment, a figure flew over from the air and landed in front of Chu Qingyi. This person had a muscular build and was clad in violet robes. His eyes shone brightly and he was radiating vigor. With a single glance, one could tell that he was an extraordinary character with incomparably tyrannical strength. This person was a supreme genius of the Thunder God Hall and was known as the Thunder God's son. He inherited a unique divine lightning might that could destroy the heavens and earth when he attacked. It was extremely terrifying and there were only a few people on the same level who could contend against him. Before this, he had also spent quite some time in the sky-connecting realm and even entered the Supreme Might rankings before exiting. His name was Leba and he was pursuing Chu Qingyi. Given his talent and strength, he was indeed worthy of Chu Qingyi. Nothing much. When I was surrounded in the sky-connecting realm, I wanted to kill a few people. The people from the Nibelski's sacred cult, as well as that young man who revealed his saint-grade immortal foundation and dark astral soul when he entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy. I want all of them to die. Chu Qingyi's voice was as cold as ice, as though it came from the depths of hell, causing the people around her to feel a chill. They met you in the sky-connecting peak, but they didn't meet on the sacrificial altar. Before this, I already guessed that there might be more than one sacred academy and the people who wanted to kill you might not be here. However, if you want them to die, I will enter the sky-connecting peak first and kill them. Leba spoke, his voice tyrannical as though he could accomplish whatever he wanted to do. Speaking of this young man, I've met him before. Back then, there was another person beside him who also had a saint-grade immortal foundation. Hence, I have a deep impression of him and met him before in the Sacred Academy. A female disciple from the Snowdrift Sage Hall spoke. Where did you meet him before? Chu Qingyi asked. Bring me there. I wonder if he is still there or not. The other party replied. After that, their silhouettes flashed as they flew ahead. This Sacred Academy had a series of marvelous ancient peaks that contained all sorts of mystical innate techniques. There were people who comprehended the Tao here and obtained extremely tyrannical attacks. At this moment, Jun Mingchen was currently cultivating in front of one of the ancient peaks. He was the same as Qin Wenyin. He knew that his cultivation base was still relatively weak and it would be extremely difficult for him to fight against the peak geniuses of the various major powers in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He could only try his best to raise his cultivation base as much as possible before he would have a better chance of roaming the Tiandao Sacred Academy. At this moment, a group of figures flew over as a tyrannical aura enveloped Jun Mingchen. Wake up! A thunderous roar rang out, causing Jun Mingchen to groan in misery. He opened his eyes as anger flickered within. He stared at the group of figures in the air. He wasn't acquainted with these people, but the coldness they exuded was as though they had a deep hatred for him. What do you all mean by this? I've never offended you before, right? Jun Mingchen asked. Let me ask you, what relationship do you have with that person who had a black gold astral soul and a saint-grade immortal foundation? Chu Qingyi coldly asked. That person is my senior brother. What has this got to do with you? Jun Mingchen directly replied, not bothering to hide anything. He had always been frank and forthright. He naturally wouldn't conceal his relationship with Qin Wenin. That's enough then. Chu Qingyi coldly spoke. Leba stepped downwards as a tyrannical might gushed forth. This entire space was filled with bolts of lightning that slashed down from the sky. The thunderous rumbling sounds were terrifying to the extreme, instantly creating a scene of destruction. The spectators from afar all turned their gazes over as their countenances drastically changed. Jun Mingchen's countenance was incredibly unsightly to behold. The cultivation base of this person was extremely high, far above his own. It was basically impossible for him to win in a battle of this level. His silhouette flickered as he retreated. However, he only saw Leba howling in rage as a terrifying lightning dragon manifested in the air, engulfing Jun Mingchen within. Jun Mingchen roared. The world diagram appeared, borrowing the might of the world. He unleashed an attack that could shake the heavens, sweeping through everything. However, Leba's cultivation base was much higher than his. With a step, a tyrannical palm imprint blasted out, containing the power of 10,000 dragons locking the skies, blasting into Jun Mingchen. In an instant, Jun Mingchen's entire body trembled violently as the might of lightning seeped into him. His entire body crackled with electricity as he slammed into the mountain wall, coughing out blood. Chapter 1133. Jun Mingchen's eyes were filled with rage. His aura towered up into the sky, and even though he was injured, he still radiated a terrifying might. He took out his immortal ranked weapon, wanting to fight. Leba stood high up in the air, stepping out. His cultivation base was at the 7th level of immortal foundation. He blasted out with his palm once more as a gigantic lightning palm imprint directly smashed down, pinning Jun Mingchen to the mountain rampart. Jun Mingchen coughed out another mouthful of blood as his entire body was ravaged by the lightning. It was so hard for him to muster any strength to resist. The terrifying lightning dragon chains enveloped Jun Mingchen as the lightning palm imprint continued smashing into his body. Jun Mingchen could only wait to be slaughtered. He had no way to resist at all. The disparity in strength was simply too great. Boom! Leba walked over. Chu Qingyi and the others behind him also walked over, staring at Jun Mingchen. Chu Qingyi's gaze was incomparably cold, only to hear Leba asking her, "Qingyi, how do you want to deal with him?" Earlier, his senior brother admitted that he has the secret art to condense a saint-grade immortal foundation. Since this man has also established a saint-grade immortal foundation, let's make him hand over the secret art. Chu Qingyi emotionlessly spoke. Her eyes gleamed with arrogance, as though she wanted to vent all the humiliation she suffered on Jun Mingchen simply because he was the junior brother of Qin Wenin. If it wasn't for Qin Wendian, she wouldn't have suffered such humiliation. She was a holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall, incomparably lofty and lofty. Yet now, she suffered such great humiliation. She wanted to know that all these people must die. Qin Wendian, as well as the other two, all of them must die. Even if they were in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, she must find them and kill them all. Did you hear me? Hand over the secret technique. Leba stared at Jun Mingchen. However, he only saw Jun Mingchen laughing uproariously as he stared at Chu Qingyi. Slut, you were the one who offended my senior brother and was defeated by him, right? In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, you actually have the face to seek revenge from me? You are truly shameless. Chu Qingyi's expression was incomparably cold. Leba suddenly waved his hand, causing a thunderous sound to ring out as a bolt of lightning blasted onto Jun Mingchen's body, causing Jun Mingchen's body to explode. His entire body was stained with blood. If you have the guts, go against the rules of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy and kill me. If not, there will be a day when me and my senior brother will make all of you suffer a fate worse than death. Jun Mingchen gritted his teeth. He was a man, how could he submit? He would definitely remember this. Leba, isn't your lightning energy known to be extremely cruel and merciless? If you manage to force out the secret technique of the Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation, regardless of your Thunder God Hall or my Snowdrift Sacred Hall, it would be a great merit. Maybe, at that time, I will consider agreeing to your request. Chu Qingyi spoke. The secret technique of the Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation was extremely rare and was comparable to an ultimate art. It was lost in the immortal realms, but if one could obtain it, they would be able to establish a Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation. If they could obtain it, they would be able to nurture a supremely powerful existence in the immortal realms. Leba stepped out once more, his entire body crackling with lightning. His palms danced as snakes of lightning danced in the air, shooting towards Jun Mingchen. The terrifying lightning energy drilled into Jun Mingchen's body, nibbling away at Jun Mingchen's will bit by bit. However, they only saw Jun Mingchen staring fixedly at them. He then turned to Chu Qingyi and spoke. My senior brother didn't just defeat you, right? Were you humiliated by him? But for a slut like you, I'm afraid even if you strip naked, my senior brother wouldn't even be bothered to touch you. A cold intent gushed forth from Chu Qingyi. Although she was heavily injured in the sky-connecting realm and was affected in the external world, she recovered very quickly. Her eyes were incomparably cold, like she was stabbed in her sore spot. Her gaze was as cold as the edge of a blade. Jun Mingchen's words weren't wrong. Qin Wenyan did see her strip naked, but he didn't touch her at all. Did I hit the mark? Hence, you are here to vent your anger on me? Jun Mingchen laughed maniacally. Despite the incomparable pain, he was still as resolute as ever. Although his temper was more explosive, his will was extremely strong. He wouldn't waver just because of the pain he was feeling. I'm afraid I won't be able to get an answer out of you. Leba blasted Jun Mingchen until his entire body was covered in blood, almost crippling Jun Mingchen. But this was also forbidden by the rules of the Tiandao's Sacred Academy. If not, Leba would have already crippled Jun Mingchen's immortal foundation, turning him into a cripple. As long as Chu Qingyi was happy, he would naturally be willing to do anything for her. Just a mere immortal Qianbian gate of the eastern regions, he wouldn't place it in his heart. After I recover from my injuries, I will enter the sky-connecting realm and make him suffer a fate worse than death. Chu Qingyi spoke. Leba nodded. A terrifying palm formed from lightning grabbed hold of Jun Mingchen as he turned and departed. Several days later, many people knew that the Holy Maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Chu Qingyi, wanted to deal with that person who had a Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation as well as an astral soul from the 8th heavenly layer. It was said that that person had offended the Holy Maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi even captured the junior apprentice brother of that person to vent her anger. Leba stood up for her and was preparing to head to the sky-connecting realm to kill that person. At this moment, at the location where the altar of the Sacred Academy was located, a group of experts walked over, exuding a majestic aura. Other than Leba and several other experts from the Thunder God Hall as well as those from the Snowdrift Sage Hall, there were actually some other experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. Among them, Tianlan Mu was actually one of them. Tianlan Mu was none other than the expert who displayed his might back then in the Evergreen Kingdom Palace. He was at the 8th level of Immortal Foundation and was proficient in Sumeru energy. When he heard that there was someone who wanted to deal with Qin Wenyan, forcing him to reveal the Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation, how could the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom miss this opportunity? Back then in the Battle of the Evergreen Kingdom, their Tenlon Heaven Kingdom had formed a deep grudge with Qin Wenyan. Not only did that fellow defeat them, he even humiliated the members of the royal clan of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, crippling several geniuses of the royal clan and publicly holding Princess Qing Er's hand, calling her his woman. After that, their Tenlon Heaven Kingdom joined forces with the other major powers to launch the adjudication, wanting to deal with the Evergreen Kingdom's forceful marriage of Princess Qing Er and Princess Lioli. However, their plans were disrupted by the summons of Chongqing the Great to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The moment the Tiandao Sacred Academy appeared, the various major powers gathered here, causing a huge commotion in the immortal realms. According to the legends, the appearance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy was a symbol of the era of ancient emperors. And now, there were no ancient emperors in the immortal realms. This meant that in the future, there was a high possibility that ancient emperors would be born from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. After this matter, they temporarily set aside the adjudication. In the future, they would look for the Evergreen Kingdom to settle the score. Right now, after hearing news about Qin Wenyan in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, how could Sky Mist Mu miss the chance to deal with him? Jun Mingchen was still being held captive. He was gravely injured and had been tortured. At this moment, his face was haggard and his robes were tattered. Only his eyes were still filled with coldness. As long as he didn't die, he would definitely return the humiliation he suffered today and make these people pay the price. If he didn't take revenge for this, he wouldn't be worthy of being a human. It's a pity that the daughter of Chongqing the Great wasn't found in this sacred academy. If not, it would definitely be possible to use her to deal with Qin Wenyan and obtain the Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation's secret cultivation technique. Sky Mist Mu spoke in a low voice. Who is the daughter of Chongqing the Great? Chu Qingyi's eyes flashed with a cold light. Although some days had passed, the things that happened in the sky connecting realm that day and the humiliation she felt was something she would never be able to forget. Even if that wasn't the real world, everything was the same as reality. The Princess Qing of the Evergreen Kingdom. I don't know her real name, but everyone calls her that. She is Qin Wentian's beloved. For her, Qin Wenyan actually dared to go against our Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. Sky Mist Mu coldly spoke. We must definitely find this Princess Qing. Chu Qingyi's expression was cold. She wanted to return the humiliation she had suffered to Qin Wentian's woman, and make Qin Wenyan hate and regret everything he had done. Sky Mist Mu did not know about the devil in Chu Qingyi's heart and her crazy thoughts, or else even he would have to carefully consider whether he should tell her about the relationship between Qin and Qin Wenyan. If Chu Qingyi acted on the crazy thoughts in her heart and dealt with Princess Qing, Chongqing the Great would probably fly into a rage. She was the daughter he doted on the most. Even though the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom wanted to deal with the Evergreen Kingdom, they had to do it step by step instead of completely enraging Chongqing the Great. If that happened, it was unknown how many people from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom would die. Once an immortal emperor was enraged, rivers of blood would definitely flow and millions of corpses would be lying on the ground. Let's go. Once we find Qin Wenyan, we'll make him suffer. We'll lock him in the sky-piercing world and make him unable to leave it forever. Chu Qingyi stepped forward and walked towards the altar. Qingyi, remember the place we agreed to meet. It's at the sky-piercing celestial rock. Leiba spoke to Chu Qingyi's back. After that, he personally escorted Jun Mingchen to the altar. He wanted to bring Jun Mingchen to the same altar. This way, they would be teleported to the same place in the sky-piercing world and he wouldn't be able to escape. Numerous silhouettes stepped onto the altar as their bodies trembled slightly. After that, their silhouettes appeared in different locations in the sky-connecting realm. Qin Wenyan didn't know what happened in the external world. Back then, the grudge between him and Chu Qingyi was because Chu Qingyi considered everyone beneath her. After that, because she coveted his Saint-Grade Immortal Foundation, she used a honey trap on him. However, he could sense the venomous thoughts in Chu Qingyi's heart. After that, when he heard Chu Qingyi's voice, he even rushed over to save her from humiliation. However, to Chu Qingyi, the humiliation she suffered was enough to cause her to feel towering hatred. This included her hatred for the source of all this, Qin Wenyan. She shifted her anger onto Jun Mingchen and in fact, she even wanted to shift her anger onto Qin. In the sky-piercing world, Qin Wenyan was roasting demon immortal meat to eat. During these few days, he fought against the demonic beasts in the wilderness and ate a lot of their meat. This nourishment caused him to feel the immortal energy in his body to grow. At this moment, Bujia sat opposite to Qin Wenyan. The two of them were doing their best to chew on the roasted meat. Bujia and Qin Wenyan worked together. Qin Wenin was in charge of killing demons while he was in charge of roasting. Brother Qin, you need to speed up your cultivation and raise your strength. That way, we will have more roasted meat to eat. The more we eat, the faster our strength will rise. Bujie ate while saying. His face was covered in oil and he didn't look like a monk at all. Is cultivation something that can be done in a day? You are so greedy. Don't Buddhist faction cultivators focus on abstaining from desires? Qin Wentian scolded. This is called entering the world to cultivate. Think about it. Many monks who haven't been close to beauties have to abstain from lust. If they haven't enjoyed delicacies, they have to abstain from eating. Can you believe that? Bujie said, that is just lying to oneself. True cultivation is only when one enjoys all the good things and sees through everything. Only then would one transcend from the mortal world. Bujie said calmly. So you are prepared to enjoy enough delicacies and have all sorts of beauties before seeing through everything? Qin Wenyan rolled his eyes. He was prepared to abstain from lust and even said it in such a dignified manner. He was actually unable to retort. I didn't say that. Bujie pointed at Qin Wenyan and laughed. Chapter 1134. Qin Wenyan stared at Bujie and smiled. Bujie, your name is truly fitting. Also, monk, I can't see through your cultivation base at all. You must have cultivated a Buddhist art to conceal your cultivation, right? Why don't you guess? Bujie narrowed his eyes as he laughed. The arts of the Buddhist path are extremely profound. You must have cultivated some innate techniques of the Buddhist path to be able to hide your cultivation base from others. However, the feeling you give me is that you shouldn't be any weaker compared to that maiden that day. Why are you hiding from her? Qin Wenyan recalled that he met Chu Qingyi back then because she was chasing after this monk. You are talking about the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall, Chu Qingyi? Bujie shook his head. Although this woman is beautiful, her heart is extremely venomous. When I was sleeping, I coincidentally met her bathing in the immortal river and she wanted to gouge my eyes out. AI, she is too venomous. Clearly, she was the one who disturbed this monk's sleep. Given your methods, how could you not notice that someone was approaching you? Most probably, you were intentionally peeping on me. Monk, you are truly shameless. Qin Wenyan spoke in disdain. If you think this way, this monk has nothing to say. Although monks are lecherous, there is a doubt to it. Bujie shook his head. Look at how she tried to kill me. I didn't even bother to bicker with her. Buddhist cultivators pay particular attention to the word kindness. It's truly rare to see a kind-hearted person like me. Qin Wenyan stared speechlessly at Bujie, praising him with a straight face. Let alone monks, it's rare to see such a weirdo. The will of humans is truly powerful. When you think of someone, that person will appear. Bujie suddenly spoke, his words causing a look of bewilderment to appear on Qin Wentian's face. The monk's eardrums trembled slightly as he continued. Do you have a junior apprentice brother who also entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy? This person is very young and has a cultivation base at the second level of Immortal Foundation. How do you know? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Earlier, he said that he was captured by someone and they're heading over here to search for him. Chu Qingyi is here as well. Seems like they came with ill intentions and wanted revenge. What did you do to Holy Maiden Green-Robed? Why would she vent her anger on your junior apprentice brother, torturing him? Bujie said faintly. As soon as he said that, Qin Wenyan released a cold aura from his body. He suddenly stood up and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Where is the monk? Qin Wentian's voice was cold. From what Bujie said, it seemed that Chu Qingyi had captured Jun Mingchen. Don't get too excited. The monk's eardrums trembled slightly as he continued. From what I heard, they should have found your junior apprentice brother outside the sky connecting realm and brought him here to look for you. If you go now, you would only be courting death. Chu Qingyi said that she would make you wish you were dead but unable to die. Although she can't kill you in the sky-connecting realm, she would be able to torture you for several years and make you suffer inhuman pain. Monk, I want to save my junior apprentice brother. Qin Wentian spoke. It's useless even if you save him. They captured your junior apprentice brother from the outside world, and even brought him to the sky-connecting peak. Even if your junior apprentice brother goes out, there would still be people guarding him. Also, your junior apprentice brother seems to be heavily injured. Even if you send him out, he wouldn't be able to escape. Although Bujia liked to talk nonsense and boast, he was extremely clear-headed at this moment. He analyzed for Qin Wenyin. In any case, how can you save him? Chu Qingyi brought a helper here. One of them is an 8th-level Immortal Foundation young man, and there's also a 7th-level Immortal Foundation young man. I know him, Leba from the Thunder God Hall, and he has the title of Thunder God's son. If you go to save him, you would be throwing yourself into a trap. At that time, you and your junior apprentice brother would be tortured together. Qin Wenyin naturally understood that what Monk Bujia said was the truth. In the sky-connecting realm, one could only depend on their own strength. If he went to save Qin Wenyin now, there wouldn't be any other result other than sacrificing himself. Junior apprentice brother Mengchen. Qin Wentian's eyes were incomparably cold. Qin Wenyin and Chu Qingyi had a grudge. Even if he helped Chu Qingyi to prevent her from being humiliated, he didn't think that Chu Qingyi would be grateful to him. However, he didn't really care so much. Even if Chu Qingyi wanted to deal with him, it was also normal. He didn't mind it at all. Since there was a grudge between them, conflict was inevitable. However, not only did Chu Qingyi want to deal with him, she even vented her anger on Jun Mengchen. If Qing'er or Zi Qingxian were in the same sacred academy as her, would they also suffer the same fate? Some people's natures were already determined and couldn't be changed. Just like Chu Qingyi, he already knew her personality from the grudge between them. However, he still couldn't bear to see her being humiliated. This was his, Qin Wentian's, bottom line. He had a bottom line, but it didn't mean that Chu Qingyi had a bottom line as well. Clearly, in order to deal with him, Chu Qingyi was willing to do anything. Sky-connecting stone pillars. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. I'm going to head to the central region of the sky-connecting realm. You have friends in the sky-connecting realm. Monk Bujia instantly knew what Qin Wenyin wanted to do when he heard the word sky-connecting stone pillars. There should be at least a few of them, right? Qin Wenyin asked. Let me go together with you and help you avoid them. If not, their immortal senses are stronger than yours and they would naturally discover your existence before you do. Monk Bujia spoke. Although Qin Wentian's perception was powerful and his immortal sense could cover a very vast area, he still couldn't be compared to someone at the 7th or 8th level of Immortal Foundation. Also, this monk Bujia cultivated a unique secret art that was similar to the one Jiang Ziyu cultivated. His hearing ability was extremely terrifying, far surpassing immortal sense. Many thanks, monk. Qin Wentian spoke. After eating your roasted meat, it's only natural for me to do something for you. Who asked this monk to be so kind? Monk Bujia boasted again. After that, his silhouette flashed as Qin Wenyin followed behind Bujia. The two of them took a detour around this desolate region. With Monk Bujia leading the way, let alone meeting Chu Qingyi and the others, they didn't even encounter any danger at all. Qin Wenyin suddenly had a thought in his heart. For those who cultivated such Buddhist arts, their lifespans should all be extremely long. They knew how to seek fortune and avoid calamity. But other than this, it seemed that this monk Bujia was also used for some shady business. In the central region of the sky-connecting realm, the atmosphere was majestic and majestic. Stone pillars towered up to the heavens. Qin Wenyin found a stone pillar that had astral light circulating within it. Placing his palm on it, Qin Wenyin inscribed a character on it and very swiftly, a mystical beam of astral light appeared. Those ancient characters floated up into the air, and when he inclined his head, Qin Wenyin saw a gigantic character in the air. Although there wasn't any special secret code, but since Qin Wenyin inscribed these words, he believed that the people of the Battle Saint tribe would understand. As long as they saw it, they would definitely head over. Battle, the symbol of the Battle Saint tribe. If this wasn't clear, he could just inscribe the word Qin. As long as one was from the Battle Saint tribe, there was no way they wouldn't understand. Let's go. Qin Wentian's figure flickered as he sped towards the direction of the sky connecting Immortal Rock where Huang Wudi and Jia Nantian fought earlier. Did they leave your monitoring range? Qin Wentian asked. He got Bujie to help him monitor Chu Qingyi and the others. In this way, after the experts of the Battle Saint tribe gathered here, they would be able to locate them. No, they seem to be here as well. Bujie shrugged. In fact, they are guessing if you were the one who inscribed these words. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He increased his speed and sped towards the direction of the sky connecting Immortal Rock. On the way, more ancient words appeared in the air. Chu Qingyi, Leba, Sky Mist Mu, summon the experts of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Thunder God Hall and Tenlon Heaven Kingdom to gather at the Tongtian Heaven Stone. Qin Wenin inclined his head and stared at the sky. Chu Qingyi actually used the sky connecting Immortal Rock as well, summoning the experts of the three factions. Other than the Snowdrift Sage Hall that Chu Qingyi was from, there was also the Thunder God Hall and Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. You have even offended the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom? Bujie stared at Qin Wenin. Qin Wenin nodded slightly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. How did they know it was me? They don't know, it's just a guess. This Chu Qingyi hates you to the extreme and also the Nibelsky sacred cult. Even if it wasn't you, she would still summon experts to deal with you and the Nibelsky sacred cult. Monk Bujie spoke. Qin Wentian's heart was like a mirror. He asked again, what is the relationship between the Thunder God Hall and the Snowdrift Sage Hall? Leba of the Thunder God Hall is in love with Chu Qingyi and Leba's status in the Thunder God Hall isn't low. Can this be considered a relationship? Monk Bujie smiled. Chu Qingyi, the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, she will regret this. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The two of them sped and finally arrived at the Tongtian Heaven Stone. At this moment, there were many experts here. They seemed to be here to watch a show. Two ancient words appeared in the air, summoning experts to head to the Tongtian Heaven Stone. There would definitely be a great show to watch, and the people in the surroundings naturally wanted to come over to take a look. At the Tongtian Heaven Stone, there were 5 experts from the Battle Saint tribe gathered here. When they saw Qin Wentian summoning them, they immediately rushed over. When they saw Qin Wentian arriving, they walked over. Because there were outsiders here, it wasn't good for them to say anything. Oi, seems like you will still be at a disadvantage in this battle. Let's make things clear, I won't help you. Monk Bujie spoke. Many thanks. Qin Wentian, this was originally his problem. He was naturally grateful that Bujie was willing to help him. How would he be so shameless as to ask Bujie to help him fight against Chu Qingyi and the others? Not long after, Chu Qingyi and the other experts arrived. When they saw Jun Mingchen's miserable state, Qin Wentian's eyes turned incomparably cold. His gaze was like sharp swords as he stared at Chu Qingyi. At the same time, Chu Qingyi's gaze was also extremely cold. She wanted nothing more than to slice him into 1,000 pieces and torture him to death. Qingyi, is that him? Leba pointed his finger at Qin Wenin. I'm very curious, how did you know we were looking for you? Sky Mist Mu asked. It's that stupid monk. Chu Qingyi's eyes flashed and she looked towards Bujie who was hiding in the crowd. Bujie jumped up and said, it has nothing to do with me. Since you are here, then you don't have to leave. Chu Qingyi said coldly. Qin Wentian stared at Chu Qingyi and said coldly, Chu Qingyi, I don't care who you are or what your identity is. Come and find me for the grievances between us. You tortured my junior brother and I will remember that. But let me remind you to let him go. Even if we are in Tiandao Sacred Academy, you have to let him go. Let him go? Are you joking? Chu Qingyi said coldly. I don't like to use such methods to threaten others, but your despicableness has exceeded my bottom line. If you insist, then I won't care about what methods I use. Chu Qingyi, do you want your reputation to be ruined? Qin Wentian said coldly. The moment he said this, cold energy swept out from Chu Qingyi's body. Of course, she knew what Qin Wentian was hinting at. Chapter 1135. Despicable. Chu Qingyi cursed, her eyes were incomparably cold. She wanted nothing more than to seal Qin Wentian's mouth, not allowing Qin Wenyan to speak. Despicable, you actually have the face to say these two words? You seduced me for the sake of your beauty and was defeated by me. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Right now, his anger was towering up into the sky. Even if he offended the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, what did that have to do with Jun Mengchen? His junior brother Jun Mengchen was actually abused so miserably. He had never seen Jun Mengchen in such a miserable state before. Shut up. Chu Qingyi's chest heaved up and down as her countenance turned pale. Release him. Qin Wenyan roared, his tone incomparably unyielding. Since Chu Qingyi could do such a despicable thing, why would he still need to consider her reputation? Rumble. Leiba stepped out, causing the space around him to tremble. Lightning flashed in the sky as the space around him was filled with destructive lightning might. It was like the wrath of a thunder god, wanting to destroy everything. Even if Qingyi agrees to release him, I won't. Leiba stepped out. Qin Wenyan didn't even glance at him. He only stared at Chu Qingyi and spoke. In that case, you have to ask this holy maiden. I will give you 3 breaths of time. If you don't release him, you will have to bear the consequences yourself. Qingyi, I will kill him for you. Leiba spoke, turning his gaze onto Chu Qingyi, seeking her opinion. Chu Qingyi's countenance alternated between shades of green and white. Finally, she spoke, release him. The eyes of everyone flashed as they stared at Chu Qingyi. This Qin Wenyan actually grasped the secrets of Chu Qingyi. He actually caused Chu Qingyi to hesitate and really agree to release him. The holy maiden released Jun Mengchen. Jun Mengchen dragged his injured body and walked to Qin Wentian's side as he called out, Senior brother, I've embarrassed you. How did they treat you in the outside world? Qin Wentian stared at Jun Mengchen as a terrifying coldness radiated from him. I was cultivating in the ancient mountain peak. After they found me, they directly injured me. That Leiba threatened me to hand over the secret art I cultivated in and used lightning to torture me. I will definitely avenge this debt. Jun Mengchen's eyes gleamed with coldness. Of course I will. Qin Wentian's expression was ice cold. He inclined his head and looked at Chu Qingyi once more. If I find out that my junior brother is still being tortured by you in the outside world and you didn't release him, I guarantee that I will carve words on the stone pillar that connects to the heavens. You. Chu Qingyi's body trembled. If Qin Wentian did this, her reputation would be completely destroyed. Qin Wenyan, how ruthless. At this moment, she wanted nothing more than to tear Qin Wenyan into 1,000,000 pieces and kill Qin Wentian's real body in Tiandao's Sacred Academy as well. Qin Wenyan inclined his head and stared at the figures before him. There was no need to say much about Sky Mist Mu, he knew him from the past. This Leiba acted against Jun Mengchen because he was pursuing Chu Qingyi. He would definitely make Leiba pay the price. Other than these people, they had also gathered several extremely powerful experts from the Sky Connecting Realm. There were people from Lightning God Hall, Snowdrift Sacred Palace, and Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. The lineup was extremely powerful. Qingyi, did someone offend you? At this moment, another person walked over. There were already many geniuses gathered here and all of them were extraordinary. The person who came was clad in golden robes and had an extraordinary heroic bearing. Clearly, he wasn't an ordinary character. Chu Qingyi was extremely beautiful and was also the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Palace. Her status was extremely high and there were many outstanding geniuses who had feelings for her. In fact, there were even some who came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy and started to pursue her. After all, it has been quite a few years since Chu Qingyi entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Qin Wentian stared at the experts who came. Seems like the strength of the Battle Saint tribe wasn't enough. Unless he could gather all the experts from the Battle Saint tribe here. The power of beauties was simply too great and in addition to their illustrious statuses, they would be able to attract experts from all directions. Senior brother, kill me first and send me out. Jun Mengchen, who was at the side, spoke. Qin Wentian stared at him. Being killed and sent out wasn't a good choice. This was the same as experiencing death. The humiliation today is akin to a death. How can I not remember it? Jun Mengchen spoke. Fine, I will send you out first. If they continue to vent their anger and torture you, I guarantee that I will do everything in my power to deal with that woman. Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he lifted his palm of destruction and slammed it towards Jun Mingchen, ruthlessly killing Jun Mingchen in the sky-connecting realm. His decisiveness caused the hearts of many to tremble. Chu Qingyi's expression flickered. Qin Wentian's words caused her to feel trepidation. From Qin Wentian's tone, if she continued to deal with Jun Mingchen, this Qin Wentian would definitely do everything in his power to ensure that he didn't die. The reason why I captured him was to deal with you. Since I found you, it doesn't matter if I release him. Leba spoke with cold arrogance. He stepped forward as the might of thunder and lightning flashed above Qin Wentian's head, as though it could strike down at any moment, destroying Qin Wentian. At the very least, I have to kill that woman before I exit. Qin Wentian spoke. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe understood his meaning. They surrounded him and instantly released their immortal foundations as their auras gushed forth. Numerous divine apes appeared, staring down at the heavens and earth, exuding a fearsome might. A violent battle might swept through the air, exuding boundless might. One of them lifted his palm and actually grabbed at the thunder and lightning in the air. Boundless destructive might from the thunder and lightning blasted downwards, yet it was blocked by the gigantic palm of a divine ape. How shocking was this? Son of Thunder God, do you really think you are very strong? You are a frog at the bottom of a well, thinking yourself infallible. Before this, Chu Qingyi was the same as well, being at the 5th level, yet she was defeated by me. The holy maidens of the Snowdrift Sage Hall are truly too weak. Qin Wentian snorted. Leba stepped out as a thunder dragon appeared, coiling around the space. Tens of thousands of feet of lightning bolts blasted towards the experts of the Battle Saint tribe. An expert from the Battle Saint tribe who was also at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation stepped out. The divine ape howled in rage as battle might radiated from him, unexcelled in this world. The divine ape howled in rage, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Boundless runes transformed into palm imprints that blasted out. At the same time, a gigantic palm of the divine ape blasted out, wanting to destroy the Thunder Dragon. The divine ape and the Thunder Dragon collided together as thunder and lightning intertwined. The destructive might of the destructive might permeated the body of the divine ape, wanting to destroy it. However, the divine ape was extremely terrifying. Its body was incomparably unparalleled, like it had an indestructible body. Capture him. Chu Qingyi coldly spoke. She didn't want Qin Wentian's life. She wanted to capture Qin Wentian alive. There was no meaning in killing him. Numerous experts moved towards Qin Wentian, only to see Qin Wentian moving forward. 4 experts from the Battle Saint tribe surrounded him, all of them radiating tyrannical auras. The cultivation bases of these 4 weren't weak. In the central regions of the sky-connecting realm, those with lower cultivation bases would have long been killed. The weakest among them was at the 6th level of Immortal Foundation. Other than the experts fighting against Leba, these 4 experts from the Battle Saint tribe protected Qin Wentian as they moved forward, moving in the direction of Chu Qingyi. It was as though they were strictly carrying out Qin Wentian's orders. Before they exited the sky-connecting realm, they had to kill Chu Qingyi. Sky Mist Mu walked over. The defeat in that battle back then was deeply engraved in his heart. This time around, he definitely had to properly fight against Qin Wentian's subordinates. Terrifying divine elephants appeared. Sky Mist Mu waved his hand as numerous particles blasted out. Those particles transformed into gigantic divine elephants, wanting to kill Qin Wentian and the others. Sky Mist Mu's target was none other than the 8th level Immortal Foundation expert. He was also the one with the highest cultivation base among the 5 experts from the Battle Saint tribe. That person lifted his hand as numerous divine ape arms appeared, sweeping through the air and smashing into those divine elephants, shattering them into pieces. The might contained within was so great that it could shake the heavens. The other experts all rushed over, all targeting Qin Wentian. However, the 5 experts from the Battle Saint tribe blocked Qin Wentian from all directions. Numerous divine apes that could shake the heavens and earth manifested, opening up a path for them. Under the situation where they were surrounded by powerful enemies, they didn't retreat but chose to advance instead, killing their way into the heart of their enemies. Block them! Leba roared. Thunder rumbled as forbidden lightning bolts appeared in the air. Dragons and snakes danced in the air, covering this entire space. You better worry about yourself. An expert from the Battle Saint tribe roared in rage. A gigantic divine ape appeared in the air, its head covered with lightning, yet it stood there unmoving. Its eyes were like the eyes of a Vajra, terrifying to the extreme. A transcendent palm imprint blasted out, wanting to destroy everything. If one observed carefully, the attack of this Battle Saint art was indeed very similar to God's hand. They were different tunes but achieved the same result. God's hand was something that the first-generation Saint Lord had comprehended from the Battle Saint art of the Battle Saint tribe. There were naturally similarities between the two. Upon seeing this terrifying attack, Leba naturally didn't have the mood to care about Qin Wenyin. He did his best to defend, transforming into a true son of the thunder god. Boundless might of thunder and lightning radiated from him, and the dazzling lightning bolts seemed capable of destroying others. Not only for the expert from the Battle Saint tribe who was fighting against Leba, the other four also unleashed their supreme might. In an instant, they transformed into an impenetrable steel wall. Their bodies pushed forward, allowing the tyrannical attacks to slam into them, yet they remained unmoved. Such strength and toughness caused the hearts of many to tremble. How powerful! Who are these people? Many people in the surroundings were silently praising the combat prowess of the experts from the Battle Saint tribe when they saw this. They didn't know which major power these people belonged to, but all of them were extremely rare characters. Qin Wendian stood in the center, protected by them. His body shone with a bright light, exuding a terrifying might. He released his body of truth, resembling the body of a god. Open a path! An expert from the Battle Saint tribe roared. The entire space trembled violently as a fearsome attack blasted out, actually opening up a path. Many experts from the Battle Saint tribe frenziedly tried to defend, yet they were all blasted apart by the attacks of the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. Chu Qingyi's figure appeared in front of the path that was opened up. As for Qin Wenyin, he stood before her. Boom! Qin Wenyin stepped out, directly appearing before Chu Qingyi. At this moment, Chu Qingyi still hadn't reacted and was in a daze. Under such a situation where so many experts were watching, Qin Wenyin actually managed to kill his way to her? Chu Qingyi, you will pay the price for this. Qin Wentian's voice rang out in Chu Qingyi's ears. God's hand brought forth the strongest destructive might, instantly engulfing Chu Qingyi. Under the shocked gazes of everyone, Qin Wenyin domineeringly killed the holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sage Hall, Chu Qingyi. Chapter 1136. After Qin Wenyin killed Chu Qingyi, the path opened up by the experts of the Battle Saint tribe also collapsed. The tyrannical attacks swept over, but at this instant, Qin Wenyin actually didn't evade. In fact, he even retracted his defenses, allowing the destructive attacks to land on his body. A feeling of death and destruction involuntarily rose up in his heart. He felt that he was about to completely vanish and be destroyed. This feeling of death was so clear, there were no illusions at all. In fact, even his consciousness was gradually fading away. In the external world, on the altar where Qin Wenyin was at, a groan of agony rang out. Qin Wentian's body was jolted downwards as waves of pain assaulted him, causing Qin Wendian to feel that this was real. It was like the life he lost had returned, regaining control of his body and regaining consciousness. Everything felt like a dream, like he had experienced a true death. This feeling was very mystical and indescribable. Ooh! Drawing in a deep breath, Qin Wenyin felt some discomfort in his entire body. He didn't know where he felt uncomfortable, but this was on the level of his consciousness. His body was destroyed inside and he had experienced a true death. This feeling was transmitted to his original body, causing him to feel extremely unhappy. At this moment, several beautiful figures sped over. They were none other than Namhuang Yunxi, Nanfeng Shunga, and Purgatory. They seemed to have been waiting not far away from him. I was jolted out. Namhuang Yunxi spoke in a low voice. Qin Wenyan straightened his body and nodded to Namhuang Yunxi. I encountered some things inside. Jun Mingchen is being targeted by someone. I wonder if I can find the entrance to the other sacred academies. You want to enter the sacred academy? Nanfeng Shunga's eyes flashed. Right now, she could already be sure that there wasn't just a single sacred academy. Yes, the sky-connecting world is only an illusory world, and some people are currently making a move against Jun Mingchen in the sacred academy. I wonder if he can enter the other sacred academies. Qin Wenyan nodded. Before this, when he was in that independent castle, he could teleport to any of the sacred academies. However, he had already chosen this one. If he wanted to return to that castle, it wouldn't be easy. He didn't know if he could do it or not. The Sacred Academy is vast and boundless, forming a world of its own. There are many secret realms and strange places. Although there may be passageways connecting the various sacred academies, they have not been discovered yet. Even if the Sacred Academy is divided, it will not be easy to find them. Otherwise, there would be no need to divide the sacred academies. Nanfeng Shunga analyzed. This was very logical. Since the Sacred Academy was divided into several sacred academies, it wouldn't be so easy to traverse all of them. Qin Wenyan's eyes flashed as he stared at the majestic Sacred Academy. Seems like he still had to work hard to improve himself. In that case, even if he was in the sky-connecting world, he would still be able to resolve everything. At this moment, before the altar of another sacred academy, Chu Qingyi was also jolted out. Her gaze was cold to the extreme. Under the protection of so many experts, Qin Wenyan managed to break through her defenses and killed her with a single strike. She was a holy maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall, yet she couldn't even withstand a single strike. This was simply a humiliation. Qin Wenyan. Chu Qingyi spoke word by word, her voice so cold that it could pierce into the bones. Killed by my senior brother? A mocking voice drifted over. Chu Qingyi turned her head and saw two people escorting Jun Mingchen. These two were none other than the people she and Leiba sent here to monitor the situation. You can still laugh? Chu Qingyi stared at Jun Mingchen as she spoke. Why can't I laugh? My senior brother said that if you still don't release me, he will destroy your reputation. You better tell the two of them to scram. Jun Mingchen mocked. I'm thinking, what did my senior brother do to you exactly? Why are you so afraid of him? But given my senior brother's personality, he wouldn't even spare a glance for a woman like you. Shut up. Chu Qingyi stood up. A surge of cold qi gushed forth, gushing into Jun Mingchen's body, causing Jun Mingchen's entire body to be covered in frost. Jun Mingchen shivered. Because of his injuries, his body was easily corroded by the dark qi. But he still gritted his teeth and coldly spoke. Do you want to walk this path to the end? I'm willing to accompany you. Let him go. Chu Qingyi coldly spoke. The two people behind Jun Mingchen were stunned, but they still nodded and left from behind Jun Mingchen. Chu Qingyi swung her palm. The cold qi struck Jun Mingchen's body, causing Jun Mingchen's body to fly away. Jun Mingchen laid on the ground. His entire body was shivering from the cold, but his eyes were filled with a smile. Bitch, if you have the ability, then don't let him go. You really think I don't dare to kill you? Chu Qingyi heard Jun Mingchen's insults. She raised her foot and walked towards him. You can try. Jun Mingchen seemed to be very tenacious. He stood up again and raised his head to look at the cold figure in front of him. Boom. A violent coldness engulfed this entire space. Chu Qingyi walked towards Jun Mingchen, but at this moment, a figure floated down, appearing beside Jun Mingchen. The eyes of this figure were as sharp as swords, able to penetrate the hearts of people, staring straight at Chu Qingyi. That terrifying cold qi actually dissipated into nothingness under the might of a sword qi, unable to get close to Jun Mingchen. Jun Mingchen's eyes flashed with a smile as he glanced at the figure who appeared beside him. This person was a disciple of the heavenly talisman realm. Although the disciples of the heavenly talisman realm usually wouldn't interfere with each other and would cultivate separately, they would still stand out when they saw their junior brother being bullied like this. You are at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation, yet you want to deal with a 2nd level Immortal? Do you know shame? This person was someone who entered the ancient mountain of the God-Hand Mountain Manor together with Qin Wenyan back then. His strength was tyrannical, and he entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy with the identity of a disciple of the immortal Qianbian Gate. Hence, if he acted to help Jun Mingchen, no one would suspect anything. Who are you? Chu Qingyi stared at the person as she asked. You don't have to care about this. You have to give me an explanation for this matter. That person calmly spoke. His eyes were still fixed on Chu Qingyi. I'm the Holy Maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall. Why would I need to give you an explanation for my actions? Chu Qingyi domineeringly spoke. This woman was defeated by senior brother Qin in the Sky Connecting Realm. She wanted revenge and seduced other men to act for her, finding me to vent her anger, forcing me to tell her the secret art I cultivate in. She then captured me to force senior brother Qin to show himself. Jun Mingchen coldly spoke. The Tiandao Sacred Academy is a place for geniuses to compete for supremacy. After you entered the Sky Connecting Realm, you actually took revenge on a fellow disciple of the same sect after being defeated and even colluded with others. Don't you feel shame? The disciple from the Heavenly Talisman realm coldly spoke. He stepped out, and instantly, a terrifying storm of sword chi manifested, enveloping this entire space. Chu Qingyi at this instant felt her body stiffening. She could faintly sense countless sharp swords pointing at her. With just a thought, it felt as though tens of thousands of swords would slash towards her. You want to deal with me? Chu Qingyi's countenance turned cold. I originally disdained to bully those with lower cultivation bases. But since you don't care about the rules, there's no need for me to be polite to people like you. As the sound of that person's voice faded, his body abruptly transformed into a sharp sword that shot out, so fast that only a beam of light could be seen. Chu Qingyi wanted to retreat, but the disparity in their cultivation bases couldn't be made up for. It was just like how Leiba was to Jun Mingchen. The sword from his finger landed on Chu Qingyi. After that, Chu Qingyi was flung through the air and slammed heavily onto the ground. She coughed out fresh blood as her countenance turned pale. She was bullied once again. As the Holy Maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall, she had never been humiliated like this before. Most probably, she would never forget this trip to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. How you treat others, others will naturally treat you the same way. It's best to have some bottom lines in cultivation. That person from the Heavenly Talisman realm spoke, no longer looking at Chu Qingyi. He brought Jun Mingchen and soared into the skies, vanishing in the blink of an eye. Arg! Chu Qingyi screamed. Her heart was filled with boundless rage. She swore that she would definitely make these people pay a price. Many people in the surroundings stared at the sorrowful Chu Qingyi as their hearts trembled. This was the Tiandao Sacred Academy, a place where all the geniuses of the immortal realms gathered. Even if you are the Holy Maiden of the Snowdrift Sacred Hall, you would still be the same. In this Tiandao Sacred Academy, you were just an ordinary person. Geniuses were merely ordinary people in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. They wouldn't be polite to you at all. After a period of time, Leiba, Skymist Mu, and the others all awoke from the altar. The 5 experts from the Battle Saint tribe protected Qin Wenyan after he killed Chu Qingyi. They actually didn't manage to kill their opponents, causing their impression of the geniuses of the immortal realms to deepen. Qingyi. Leiba saw that Chu Qingyi's aura was fluctuating and her countenance was pale, as though she was recuperating. He glanced at the 2 beside her and asked, "What's going on?" Jun Mingchen's fellow sect members helped and injured the Holy Maiden, bringing Jun Mingchen away. One of them replied. Leiba's expression turned heavy as thunder rumbled around him. The strength of the immortal Qianbian Gate isn't weak, especially at the Immortal Foundation level. We fought against them before and their combat prowess is extremely high. They basically wouldn't care about the Snowdrift Sacred Hall or the Thunder God Hall. Sky Mist Mu spoke, intentionally wanting to start a war. In that case, let's fight with them. We will gather experts from the various powers, and as long as we see people from the immortal Qianbian Gate, we will make them pay a terrible price. Leiba's voice was tyrannical. Just like his personality, he rarely suffered defeat. But for this battle, the word victory couldn't be said. He wanted to stand up for Chu Qingyi, yet Chu Qingyi was killed in front of him and was even injured after she came out. What's that aura? At this moment, several people inclined their heads and stared at the sky as they exclaimed in shock. Numerous figures soared up into the air. A multicolored light gushed over as a marvelous aura enveloped this entire space. Boom! The sound of a bell rang out, akin to the morning bell ringing in the hearts of everyone. On the altar, the figures on the altar all opened their eyes at this moment as looks of bewilderment could be seen on their faces. They were all jolted awake by the sound of the bell. Boom! The sound of the bell rang out once more, akin to the sound of the Tao. From afar, a resplendent radiance could be seen as a true Tiandao Sacred Academy appeared. After which, a voice rang out within the Sacred Academy. In the 12th year of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the Sacred Academy shall be opened for a lecture. A voice rang out, akin to the sound of the Tao, directly entering the eardrums of everyone. No matter where they were, they would be able to hear this voice. Chapter 1137. The Sacred Academy that Qin Wenin was in was the same as well. The experts on the altar were all summoned back from the sky-connecting realm. Everyone in the Sacred Academy inclined their heads and stared at the horizons. Tiandao Sacred Academy, Year 12. The Sacred Academy will be opened for a lecture on the Tao. This voice was ethereal, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. The opening of the Sacred Academy, would that be the true Sacred Academy? And this dimension was merely a dimension that was attached to the Sacred Academy. Numerous figures soared up into the air, staring at the space before them. The Sacred Academy floated in the air, and was actually able to stand in the air. Boundless light cascaded downwards, gradually enveloping this boundlessly vast space. Numerous figures flickered as they flew towards the Sacred Academy. There are still people giving lectures on the Tao in the Sacred Academy? Nanfeng Xingge's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. Interesting. Little Rascal spoke in a low voice. He felt that this was extremely interesting. Tiandao Sacred Academy, Year 12. We entered the Immortal Sea and arrived at the Sacred Academy. It has already been 12 years since the opening of the Sacred Academy. It must be extraordinary. Let's go and take a look. Qin Wentian spoke. Namhuang Yunshi nodded. The group of them then flew towards the Sacred Academy. In the air, many silhouettes appeared from all directions, all of them flying towards the Sacred Academy. Their eyes gleamed with a strange light. Only appearing after 12 years, the lecture on the Tao must definitely be extraordinary. In that case, for those who were trapped in the Immortal Sea for 12 years, did this mean that they missed out on the opportunity? This open Sacred Academy, would it continue to exist in the future or would it disappear? In the air, golden light illuminated the skies. The experts from the Tianping people were all radiating a dazzling light. A raging wind howled as they soared through the air, exuding a terrifying might. There were actually over 20 people from the Tianping people who arrived here. As expected of a royal clan that was blessed by the heavens. Qin Wenin saw that among the experts from the Tianping people, there was a person in the center. That person was none other than the king of the Tianping people, the golden-winged great roc Jian Antian. He had once defeated Huang Wudi in the sky-connecting realm and was extremely powerful. The experts from the various regions all gathered outside the Sacred Academy. Namhuang Yunshi also gathered here. There were over 10 of them and their statuses weren't inferior to Namhuang Yunshi. They were the holy successor of the Namhuang clan. The baleful auras of the experts from the White Tiger people were terrifying. Other than Bai Mao, there were 2 others whose statuses weren't inferior to him. They were both from the royal clan of the White Tiger people. Other than that, there were also those from the Scorpio race. Let's enter the Sacred Academy. A voice drifted over. After that, Numerous figures flew towards the floating Sacred Academy. The Sacred Academy was a majestic building, emitting a dazzling light. The expert stepped into it, and within it, there was a flight of stairs leading to the heavens. A mysterious energy cascaded downwards, exuding an unexcelled divine might, causing the hearts of those who saw it to stretch out in worship. On the flight of stairs, experts gathered, ascending the stairs step by step. There were over 1,000 of them. There were 4 sacred academies, and most probably 5,000 to 6,000 people have already entered. In the past 12 years, 1/3 of the quota had already entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Seems like all of them are here. Qin Wentian spoke. He glanced at the experts and discovered a rule. The majority of demonic cultivators and greater demons had all come to this sacred academy. Other than the Tianping people, the White Tiger people, and the Scorpio race, he also saw people from the Celestial Palace. Other than them, there was a group of people with shocking auras. They were clad in simple and crude beast skin clothes that seemed to be forged from the skin of greater demons. Their bodies exuded a tyrannical aura, and each of them looked extremely terrifying. They were the same as Qin Wenin, from the Eastern Immortal Jade Mountain, and they were from the Beast God sect. Not only so, based on Qin Wentian's vision, he could even see the terrifying demonic energy within the bodies of these people. The bones of these people were all extraordinary, and their fleshly bodies were extremely terrifying. Qin Wentian could sense that these people were all transformed from demons. Not only that, they were actually demonic dragons. It was rumored that there was a dragon island in the vast western sea outside the 9-tripod city. No one knew if this rumor was true or false. But since there were demonic dragons in the vast immortal realms, Qin Wentian wasn't surprised at all. Saint Lord, there are many greater demons here. An expert from the Battle Saint tribe transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. Beside him, there were several experts from the Battle Saint tribe. Their totems were divine apes and they cultivated the Battle Saint art. They were born with unique abilities and their eyes were terrifying. They could even see the true forms of some greater demons. I can see it. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice back. These people could be said to be the first batch of people to cross the Immortal Sea and enter the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Not all of them might be more outstanding compared to those who had yet to arrive, but in terms of overall talent and comprehension, they were undoubtedly the strongest batch. It was very normal for greater demons to appear here. There are quite a few people from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom here as well. Namhuang Yunshi spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. He naturally could sense the unkind gazes directed at him. One of them looked extremely familiar. He had met this person once before in the Evergreen Kingdom Palace. Ascending the immortal staircase, there were immortal mountains and ancient peaks on the left and right, resembling the residences of immortals. In this place, immortal senses were obstructed. They had no idea what was on the top of the staircase. They could only ascend it step by step. The mystical immortal staircase continued upwards until they finally reached the top. Up ahead, a vast and spacious area could be seen. There were a total of 3,000 seats, each of them shining with astral light, and there seemed to be mysterious runes circulating on them, exuding a mysterious aura. These 3,000 seats were like praying mats for immortals. In front of the 3,000 praying mats, there was a palace with a long corridor. A lifelike statue-like figure could be seen sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, exuding no aura. He seemed both like a real person and a statue at the same time. The Sacred Academy was opened for the lecture of the Tao. In that case, this figure should be real, right? There were originally people in the Sacred Academy. At this moment, they finally saw it. There were 3,000 immortal seats. The first row only had a single seat, the second row had 2 seats, the third row had 3 seats, and as they moved further back, the number of immortal seats increased. All the experts quietly stood there, staring at the 3,000 seats as they asked questions. Among the 3,000 seats, who would be sitting in the lead? The lecture of the Tao in the Sacred Academy, all 3,000 seats can be seated. An ethereal voice rang out. It was unknown where it came from. That figure was still like a statue. There was no sound at all, he didn't even open his mouth. No one knew where this voice came from. The lecturer of the Tao in the Sacred Academy, who would be the lead among the 3,000 seats? Another voice rang out, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. It was as though this voice had spoken the thoughts in their hearts. In the competition of the martial path, victory and defeat were always determined. The path to immortality was slow. How many heroes would one have to cross before them? There were over 1,000 experts here. There were many greater demons. There were also the dragon race of the Western Sea, the white tiger people of the Western regions, the Tianping people, the Namhuang clan of the Phoenix bloodline, the Beast God sect, and all the experts of the immortal realms. Who would be able to sit in the lead and listen to the lecture of the Tao in the Sacred Academy? Jian Nanshan's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at the strongest immortal seat. In his eyes, there was only that immortal seat. Since the immortal seats were separated into the front and back, he would rather not sit in the back. However, he didn't take the lead. With so many heroes here, how could it be so easy to sit in the lead? This was like the Supreme Might rankings. How could it be so easy to obtain the top position? Let me sit. A hoarse voice rang out. After which, a figure walked out from the crowd. This figure was 3 meters tall and exuded an explosive might. His limbs were thick and muscular, and his eyes gleamed with flames, terrifying to the extreme. In addition, his cultivation base was also very high, at the 8th level of Immortal Foundation. His entire body radiated a powerful aura. This demon is an ape-type demonic beast, but I have no idea which race he belongs to. It seems that he is the only one who came here. Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice. The beautiful eyes of the Namhuang clan flickered, as though she was thinking of a place. Nanfeng Xinge, who was beside her, also spoke. I've read the ancient records of the Namhuang clan before. Among the major powers of the immortal realms, there aren't many demonic beasts in the western regions. These demonic beasts are all grouped up together, but there's another place in the immortal realms with more demonic beasts compared to the western regions. That place is the desolate mountain range located at the extreme north of the immortal realms. I've heard a little about it. Qin Wenyan nodded lightly. It's just that I heard that the desolate mountain range is extremely vast, a place similar to the myriad Devil Islands. If the human Wu Xiu went too deep, he would definitely die. The demonic beasts there would also rarely have any relations with the immortal realms. With regards to the desolate mountain range, the knowledge of the immortal realms is even lesser compared to the myriad Devil Islands. Even if the Tiandao Sacred Academy appeared, there might not be too many demonic beasts in the desolate mountain range. Indeed, if the desolate mountain range also appeared, it would definitely cause a huge commotion just like the myriad Devil Islands. But we can't rule out the possibility of some greater demons coming here. An expert from the Namhuang clan replied in a low voice. This greater demon has scarlet eyes. It seems a little similar to the legendary fiery-eyed berserk ape. Other than the desolate mountain range, I've never heard of such a demonic beast appearing in other places in the immortal realms. The human form fiery-eyed berserk ape walked to the immortal seat at the front and stepped onto it in an extremely domineering manner. In an instant, resplendent light circulated around the seat as a terrifying beam of light shot up into the sky. The fiery-eyed berserk ape roared in rage. The terrifying beam of light shot up into the clouds as an image appeared in the air. In that image, there was an incomparably gigantic demonic beast that was over 10,000 meters tall. Its eyes were incomparably red, and its entire body was burning with boundless flames, as though it had entered a berserk state. When it roared, the heavens and earth trembled as a supreme might of the great Tao bore down on it, wanting to crush it. That greater demon struggled madly, causing the heavens and earth to tremble, yet it had no way to break free from the might of the great Tao. Fiery-eyed berserk ape. When everyone saw the shadow, they instantly knew what demonic beast this silhouette was. All of them had expressions of shock on their faces. Boom! With a thunderous boom, the human form fiery-eyed berserk ape was blasted down from the seat and slammed heavily onto the ground. The earth rumbled as he crawled back up. His scarlet eyes stared at the lead seat as an extremely violent demonic chi gushed forth from him, as though he could enter a berserk state at any moment. Who will be the leader of the 3,000 seats? This seat isn't easy to sit on. The hearts of everyone trembled. The fiery-eyed berserk ape was blasted down. It wasn't easy for him to sit on the leader's seat. Chapter 1138. The fiery-eyed berserk ape originated from the desolate 10,000 mountain range and was definitely a greater demon with an extremely high bloodline. Yet, it still couldn't sit on the lead seat. One could say that even if over 1,000 supreme geniuses came to the Sacred Academy to listen to the Tao lecture, there wouldn't be many humans or demons who had the qualifications to challenge for the lead seat. Let me try. A voice rang out. The White Tiger royalty expert, Bai Mao, stepped out. His cultivation base was at the 6th level of Immortal Foundation. Although his cultivation base wasn't as high as the fiery-eyed berserk ape, the Sacred Academy didn't say that only those with a high cultivation base could sit on the lead seat. As a member of the White Tiger royalty, he naturally had to try. Bai Mao unleashed his king-grade bloodline, exuding a terrifying might. With a thunderous boom, Bai Mao stepped onto the lead seat. Another burst of astral light flooded the area as a shadow appeared. The White Tiger Demon King howled madly as a terrifying might of the Great Tao bore down on him, wanting to crush his body. The White Tiger Demon King roared madly as the might of the Great Tao bore down on him, wanting to break his body apart. The White Tiger Demon King wanted to resist the might of the Great Tao, but he was still unable to do so. He was slammed onto the ground by a gigantic palm imprint, just like the fiery-eyed berserk ape. Bai Mao stood up with an unsightly expression on his face. As a member of the White Tiger royal race, he actually also managed to sit on the lead seat. After that, the other greater demons tried one after another, yet none of them succeeded. From the celestial palace, a devilishly handsome figure walked out. He exuded an extraordinary aura as he stood on the lead seat, exuding an unexcelled demeanor. However, not long after, he also failed to change his fate. The experts from the Beast God sect were the same as well. Even though they had unrivaled taming beasts, it was all useless. This seat was the true leader of all the demons. None of them could sit on it. Bzzz. Abruptly, an extremely violent and sharp chi permeated the air. The spectators turned their gazes over and saw a silhouette soaring up into the sky. His golden wings were incomparably resplendent, each and every feather was as sharp as a sword, exuding an ancient mysteriousness and power. The king of our race. The experts of the Tianping people all had solemn looks on their faces, as though they were waiting for Jia Nantian to ascend to the lead seat. This was his king, and in the future he would also become the king of all demons, commanding all demons in the world and conquering the desolate 10,000 mountain range. Jia Nantian reverted to his true form, a terrifying golden-winged great rock. His eyes were filled with loftiness, gleaming with a terrifying light. With a flash of his silhouette, he was like a bolt of golden lightning, instantly appearing on the leader's seat. Brilliant light illuminated the skies, enveloping his body as a scene appeared. Jia Nantian howled at the heavens as his bloodline erupted forth. In that scene, divine might descended upon this world, wanting to destroy everything. Over there was a great peng that was tens of thousands of zhang in size. Its wings hacked out, splitting apart heaven and earth, hacking down on the divine might heavenly Tao, wishing to contend against heavenly might. All the experts could sense the world-shaking collision. That golden-winged rock was like a golden-winged rock king, wanting to slash apart the heavenly Tao. However, the heavenly Tao was terrifying. A supreme palm imprint blasted over, wanting to destroy everything, wanting to kill the golden-winged rock king. Bzzz. A raging wind gusted. The wings of the golden-winged rock king flapped, seemingly capable of traversing through space, fleeing from the heavenly Tao. However, that palm imprint was too terrifying, it chased after him, there was no way for him to escape. The golden-winged rock king turned and shuttled through the air. His wings slashed out, causing rumbling sounds to ring out. In that scene, even the heavenly Tao seemed to be trembling. In fact, cracks even appeared on the surface of the heavenly Tao. But even so, the golden-winged rock king was still destroyed. Jia Nantian groaned in misery as he was forced back. His wings flapped, and before he even landed on the ground, he soared up into the air. His lofty eyes stared at the lead seat before him as he spoke, "The might of the heavenly Tao. If one doesn't have a saint-grade bloodline, they wouldn't be able to slash apart the heavenly Tao. No demon can sit on this seat." Jia Nanshan's tone was filled with a tyrannical might, exuding an aura of supremacy. It was as though there was something he couldn't do. No human or demon here would be able to do it. Such an aura. It was as though he was unrivaled under the heavens. Another violent figure stepped out. Another person walked up to the lead seat, and the scene appeared once more. An ancient greater demon of the desolate mountains, Kueox, soared through the air, wanting to break free from the restraints of the heavenly Tao. However, the golden-winged rock Jia Nantian failed to do this. He also failed and was blasted down from the lead seat. Boom! A heavy sound rang out as a young man exuding boundless energy walked out. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. This young man was none other than a greater demon from the Dragon Island, a terrifying demonic dragon. This demonic dragon young man stepped onto the lead seat. A scene appeared as a terrifying demonic dragon appeared. This demonic dragon was actually a fire dragon. It blasted towards the Tao energy. Its gigantic body contained boundless energy, and after a series of collisions, the heavenly Tao trembled from the impact. However, it was still unable to destroy the Tao energy. Finally, it could only end up like Jia Nantian, being blasted down from the lead seat. The expressions of everyone turned solemn as they fell silent. Seems like the opening of the Sacred Academy for the lecture on the Tao. No one could sit on the lead seat. Most probably, only greater demons with pure-blooded saint-ranked bloodlines would be able to sit on it. Nam Huang Yunshi mumbled. It was simply too difficult to sit on the lead seat. The lecture on the Tao in the Sacred Academy had yet to begin, but it already taught all the supreme geniuses a deep lesson. Do you want to go and try? Qin Wenin glanced at Little Rascal beside him as he asked. Little Rascal was also extraordinary. He had no idea what sort of demon it was. Nope, even if I sat on the lead seat, I would still be killed by jealousy. Little Rascal shook his head, his words causing Qin Wenin to smile. Little Rascal was getting smarter and smarter. Even if he really sat on the lead seat, what sort of existences were there? Most probably, the Sacred Academy would never have a day of peace again. There was a difference in the order of comprehending the Tao, but there was no difference in the order of obtaining the Tao. For the lead seat at the front, it was fine for them to fight for it. Right now, Qin Wenin had no interest at all. Maybe one day when he was interested, he would go and fight for it. Since no one could sit on the lead seat, the two seats in the second row became the seats closest to the front. They would be able to listen to the lecture from a very close distance. Most probably, these two seats weren't so easy to sit on. All the supreme geniuses were staring at them. In addition, it wasn't certain if they would be able to sit on the lead seat or not. The 3,000 immortal seats cannot be snatched after you sit down. A voice rang out, causing the gazes of everyone to stiffen. For these 3,000 seats, as long as you were the first to sit down, the others wouldn't be able to snatch it away. Whoever sat down first would be able to listen to the lecture on the Tao. Boom! Another expert from the White Tiger royalty stepped out. His cultivation base was extremely terrifying, at the 8th level of Immortal Foundation. He walked towards the second seat. The experts from the Tao of Dragon, Sky Scorpion race and the other greater demons all moved over, wanting to snatch the second seat. King. The experts from the Tianping people stared at the golden-winged rock Jia Nantian. If no one can sit on the lead seat, the second seat would become the lead seat. How can it be so easy to sit on these two seats? If they can sit on it, so what if I don't change my position? Jia Nantian spoke in arrogance. He didn't try to snatch it away. Other than him, there were still other greater demons who didn't try to snatch it away. The White Tiger royalty expert and the fiery-eyed berserk ape stepped out at the same time. With a thunderous roar, baleful Qi towered up into the sky as his king imprint appeared, wanting to force the fiery-eyed berserk ape to retreat. However, the fiery-eyed berserk ape merely roared and reverted to its true form. The 3,000 seats were all very far apart from each other. Even if its true form appeared, it wouldn't take up too much space. The baleful Qi of kings clashed against the pair of fiery eyes, their might shaking the heavens. The two greater demons moved towards each other at the same time. The White Tiger King was enveloped by baleful Qi, while the fire-eyed berserk ape was engulfed in flames. Both of them punched out, causing a thunderous might to blast outwards, transforming into a terrifying tempest. The greater demon with a lower cultivation base was directly swept away. Even if this was a contest for the immortal seat, there was no place for demons with a lower cultivation base. The two greater demons retreated at the same time. Their eyes stared at each other as though they weren't willing to give way. However, on the immortal seat beside them, the fire dragon from before had already ascended and was fighting against the power of the seat. However, the greater demons behind discovered that even if it was the second seat, the demonic fire dragon was having a hard time fighting against it. After a series of clashes, the fire dragon was blasted off the seat. Was it so easy to sit on the second seat? This caused the White Tiger royalty and the fiery-eyed berserk ape to halt their battle as their expressions stiffened. The silhouette of the White Tiger royalty flashed as he ascended the seat. This time around, the fiery-eyed berserk ape didn't obstruct him, allowing him to ascend to the second seat. Ultimately, the White Tiger royalty was blasted off the seat, causing everyone to be in a daze. After that, the fiery-eyed berserk ape also failed. In the grounds of the Sacred Academy, they didn't even have the qualifications to sit on the second seat. After that, the experts of the various powers tried again, but all of them failed. Jia Nantian finally ascended the immortal seat once more. The lofty and arrogant golden-winged rock king appeared on the screen once again, clashing against the power of the great Tao. His wings slashed through the skies, shuttling through space, and after a heaven-shaking collision, he actually managed to slash apart the great Tao. A brilliant beam of light shot out as Jia Nantian sat on the second seat. His entire body was surrounded by astral light, incomparably resplendent. That immortal seat belonged to him. As expected, the golden-winged great rocks of the Tianping people are much rarer compared to the royals of the White Tiger people. Their bloodlines are much more noble. Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice when he saw this scene. The only golden-winged great rocks of the Tianping people here was Jia Nantian. However, there were several royals of the White Tiger people. Even for the demons from the Dragon Islands, their bloodlines were much weaker compared to the golden-winged great rocks. After all, the royals of the Dragon Islands weren't here. As for the golden-winged great rocks, they were the paragon royals of the Tianping people. Although we can't sit on the first seat, we can't be too far back either. You guys go and claim the first 10 rows of seats. As for which seat you want, it's up to you. Qin Wendian spoke to the experts of the Battle Saint tribe. They nodded and stepped out. Let's go as well. Qin Wenyin, Nam Huang Yunxi and the others also stepped out, moving forward. You guys also want the seats at the front? The experts of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom stared at Qin Wendian and the others. Both sides were originally at loggerheads, but before this, there was no conflict between them. But now that they were seizing the immortal seats, these experts of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom seemed to have the intention to target Qin Wenyin. Chapter 1139. Qin Wendian laughed as he stared at the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. He then spat out a single word, scram. As the sound of his voice faded, the experts from the Battle Saint tribe all stepped forward. The experts from the Namhuang clan stood beside them, exuding a tyrannical aura that bore down on the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. Their expressions kept on changing as they stared at Qin Wendian and the others. Only to see Qin Wendian stepping forward, ignoring the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom as he walked towards the first 10 rows. There were 3,000 immortal seats here, listening to the Tao lecture. Even if one wasn't too outstanding, it was impossible for them to sit at the back. However, at this moment, many experts also moved towards the front row. These experts all had outstanding talent and extraordinary strength. They knew that they had no way to obtain the seats at the front, but they still had to occupy a spot at the very least. For example, the White Tiger people, Tianping people, and the Scorpion King race. When they stepped forward, they wanted to monopolize the seats at the front, not allowing others to join them. No humans or demons would be willing to sit at the back of others and be placed at the back. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe stepped out at the same time, each of them moving towards an immortal seat. However, it was destined that they would have to compete with many experts. For a period of time, the atmosphere in this entire space suddenly turned violent. Starting from the third row, the closer you are to the front, the more intense the competition would be. Qin Wenyan could sense that there were already experts fighting against each other. He shook his head lightly. People of the martial path have always been competitive. Most probably, there was no way for this competition to be peaceful. He stepped out, but he didn't choose a seat at the front. He only moved towards a seat at the 9th row, but at this moment, a beautiful female blocked his path. She laughed. "That seat is mine." This female was clad in a red armor. Her snow-white skin was exposed, and even her cleavage was faintly discernible. She had a head full of soft red hair, exuding a sense of demonic beauty. Clearly, her original form was that of a demon. In addition, she was a snake and scorpion beauty, an expert from the Scorpion King race. "Young master, please let me have him." This sexy scorpion beauty laughed and walked towards the immortal seat. Qin Wenyan laughed. "It wasn't easy for me to find a seat, but there are people fighting over the other seats. I can only choose this seat." As he spoke, he walked towards the immortal seats. The two of them moved with extreme speed. The scorpion beauty smiled. Her alluring figure caused people to not dare to make a move against her. After that, her snow-white palms stretched out, transforming into a sharp beam of red light. Qin Wenyan laughed. His body seemed to be clad in armor as runic light circulated around him. His physique was incomparably tyrannical. He allowed the red beam of light to land on him as he pointed a finger at his opponent. However, he only saw the scorpion beauty pushing her voluptuous bosom forward as her eyes gleamed coquettishly. Qin Wenyan started, his fingers turned into a palm and blasted out, forcing the scorpion beauty back. After that, he landed on the immortal seat. "Hee, little brother, you are making me feel uncomfortable." The scorpion beauty stared at Qin Wenyan, yet she still had a smile on her face. As expected of a venomous beauty. Earlier, if the red beam of light she used on Qin Wenyan had truly penetrated through Qin Wentian's body, the poison would have instantly seeped into Qin Wentian's body. However, she still had a charming smile on her face. Qin Wentian laughed. An image appeared in the air as a mystical and terrifying pressure bore down on Qin Wentian's soul. The image appeared in the air, wanting to kill Qin Wenyan. Qin Wentian's will was extremely powerful, transforming into the body of a divinity. His true martial body floated in the air as God's hand blasted out, destroying everything. After that, astral light flashed, protecting his body. This immortal seat belonged to him. As long as he sat here and didn't leave, no one else would be able to snatch it away from him. In the second row, there were two immortal seats. One of them was occupied by the powerful Jia Nantian, while the other was seized by a demonic beast that didn't attract any attention earlier. This demonic beast was extremely terrifying. It was a devil lion that originated from the desolate 10,000 mountain range. It was a demonic beast of a mutated species, a descendant of a fearsome devil bird and a golden lion king. It had wings, and when it reverted to its true form, it was covered in dark golden armor and could be said to have an indestructible body. The purity of its bloodline was shocking, and its roar could shatter mountains and rivers, tearing apart space. Many people sighed inwardly. Demonic beasts from the desolate 10,000 mountain range were indeed rare. There were some terrifying and rare races. This demonic lion had inherited two terrifying bloodlines and fused them into one, allowing it to possess the void ability of that demonic bird, as well as the terrifying defense and devouring power of the Golden Lion King. It could be said to be a rare demonic beast king. As for the third row, there were 3 immortal seats. An expert from the White Tiger people obtained one, a demonic dragon from the Western Sea Dragon Island obtained another, and the last one was seized by the fiery-eyed berserk ape. Earlier, he only managed to snatch that seat after going on a rampage. Even though it was only the third row, it wasn't an easy seat to sit on. The battles for the 4th and 5th rows were extremely intense. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe and the Namhuang clan all acted to seize their own seats. To the experts from the Battle Saint tribe, since Qin Wenyan didn't want to attract too much attention, they all chose to seize the seats from the 5th to the 10th row. Although they weren't the peak-tier immortal seats at the very front, they were still considered high-grade seats. Qin Wenyan discovered that the Celestial Palace, Beast God Sect, Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, these peak human powers all gave up on seizing the seats at the very front. Compared to the demonic beasts, they were more low-profile and weren't as tyrannical as the demonic beasts. In this sacred academy, there were more demonic beasts compared to the human wuxiu. However, among these major powers, there were definitely some extremely powerful characters who had yet to reveal themselves. Qin Wenyan heard that the Beast God Sect from the Great Snow Mountain was the king of beasts. If someone said that the people from the Beast God Sect didn't want to subdue some supreme greater demons from the demon world, Qin Wenyan didn't believe it. However, they didn't act before in the Sacred Academy, appearing to be low-profile and mysterious. If the Beast God Sect really dared to do something in the Sacred Academy, they would definitely attract the hatred of the various demon races. The Beast God Sect should be very clear about this point. Demons that could enter the Sacred Academy were all not to be trifled with. The immortal seats at the front were all occupied by people one after another. Gradually, the number of people competing for the seats at the back grew fewer and fewer. There was no point in fighting for the seats at the back. Finally, when everything calmed down, over 1,000 of the 3,000 immortal seats were occupied as they quietly stared ahead. The opening of the Sacred Academy and the lecture on the Tao, they were all very curious. What kind of Tao was it exactly? Would it be of any help to their cultivation? That silhouette before them was still sitting there silently, without any signs of life. He was like a statue, but everyone still believed that this was a living person and not a statue. This place was the Tiandao Sacred Academy. How could a statue lecture on the Tao? Close your eyes and focus. An ethereal voice drifted over from the void. As the sound of this voice faded, everyone felt a sense of tranquility as they involuntarily stopped their commotion and quietened down. They followed the instructions of the voice and closed their eyes, focusing their minds. The thousands of immortal seats were incomparably silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Gradually, above the constellations, astral light flashed. At this moment, everyone felt as though they were no longer in the Sacred Academy but in the boundless void instead. You can open your eyes now. The ethereal voice drifted over again. Everyone opened their eyes as their expressions froze. At this moment, they were actually no longer in the Sacred Academy but in the boundless starry space instead. In addition, they were still seated on their respective immortal seats as boundless astral light cascaded down from the sky. These constellations were akin to constellations from the 9 heavenly layers, with a myriad of shapes and sizes. A resplendent light cascaded down on everyone. Before them, that statue seemed to have opened its eyes, condensing into an ethereal silhouette. This silhouette exuded no aura at all, but it was precisely because of this that everyone felt a sense of terror. The strength of this silhouette had far surpassed their imaginations. This time around, the opening of the Tiandao Sacred Academy will be the first 12 years. In the future, every 12 years, the Tiandao Sacred Academy will have an opportunity to lecture on the Tao. That silhouette slowly spoke. Everyone had a feeling that this opportunity was extremely rare. They had to do their best to comprehend every single sentence of the silhouette and improve themselves. Immortal Foundation experts use the law energy of immortals to condense their immortal foundations, cultivating law energy of different attributes to raise the might of their immortal foundations. However, Do you all know where the law energy of heaven and earth originates from? That silhouette slowly spoke, asking everyone. I heard that there's origin energy in heaven and earth. These law energies are all formed from the origin energy. When we cultivate, we are merely improving bit by bit. In my inherited memories, the ancestor of my race was born from the origin energy and transformed into a golden-winged rock king. He wasn't bound by the heavenly Daos, and with a flap of his wings, he could cleave the heavenly Daos apart. With a flap of his wings, he could soar through space. The Tianpeng people king spoke in an incomparably tyrannical manner, wanting to pursue the path of their ancestor and become an existence like that. You can say that. However, what you said is too far away. Even if you are a pure-blooded golden-winged rock king, it's impossible for you to directly control this energy. You still have to rely on your own comprehension. That silhouette seemed to have sensed the arrogance in Jian Nanshan's heart. He slowly spoke, wanting to persuade Jian Nantian to be down to earth and cultivate step by step. Junior understands senior's meaning. Jian Nantian respectfully spoke. Although he was the Tianpeng people king, he didn't dare to be arrogant. To him now, this expert before him could crush him like an ant. No matter how strong the ancestor was, he ultimately wasn't him. However, a pure-blooded demonic beast like you does indeed have an innate advantage. You have innate talent, and as long as you grow step by step, you would naturally be able to become an immortal emperor. Such talent would cause many demons and humans to be filled with jealousy. However, this talent is also a type of restriction. Your path of growth is already destined. You have to walk down the path of your ancestor. Compared to demonic beasts, humans are much more flexible. That expert spoke. Everyone could understand this point. Naturally, this was only when compared to extraordinary characters. Ordinary characters could only look up to the back of their necks. Chapter 1140. In the starry space, everyone sat on their immortal seats as they quietly listened. Humans are known as the spirits of the myriad of living beings, receiving the blessings of the heavens and earth. Their perception can be raised through cultivation, allowing them to find an astral soul that is most suitable for them. They have many choices, and even if their ancestors were exceedingly powerful and passed down a powerful elemental bloodline to them, they would still be able to choose a path of their own, cultivating another path. It's different for demons. You want the golden-winged rock to comprehend water attribute energy? Is this appropriate? The higher the grade of the demonic beast, the more powerful their inheritance would be. On the contrary, for some ordinary demons, they wouldn't receive too much inheritance from their ancestors and would be able to walk their own path. There's a saying that there are always losses when there are gains. This is the logic behind it. No matter who you are, you have to see yourself clearly and not underestimate yourself. When you blindly feel jealousy and envy the strength and talent of those greater demons, you would have already lost yourself. Those who can sit here are all extraordinary characters. Although you might have to look up to the golden-winged rock or the dragon race now, there might be a day when your mount would be a golden-winged rock or a demonic dragon. This isn't impossible. That expert slowly spoke. As the saying goes, even if it's some ordinary logic, when spoken by this expert, the weight of his words would be sufficient. Even the golden-winged rock and the dragon race experts didn't dare to interrupt. In addition, the voice of this expert seemed to contain a strange magical power, akin to the sound of a morning bell, wanting to wake everyone up from their stupor. Law is actually the law of heaven and earth. It's also a kind of order. In the world you all live in the boundless starry space, there are countless constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. Each constellation contains an unfathomable amount of energy. The stronger you are, the more you would be able to sense the power of these constellations. The existence of countless constellations is the law of heaven and earth, allowing this world to exist under the law of different attributes. And the existence of living beings is the process of comprehending, cultivating, controlling, and even transforming into a law. Until one day, you are able to create your own law, creating your own law in this world. His voice drifted into the ears of the experts here, causing their hearts to tremble. They could faintly sense that the words spoken by Qin Wenyan were extremely close to the truth of this world, the truth of the heavens and earth. No one knows what rules were born when the world was first formed, but even if we trace back to the era when the world was first formed, the power of rules would definitely not have evolved to such perfection as it is now. There are rules of all attributes, and you have countless choices to choose from. I believe that this must have been created by living beings. In our world, the rules of heaven, earth, water, fire, and earth are everywhere, and they are the most common rules. Perhaps it is because of their existence that this world is constructed, or perhaps it is because living beings who cultivate in these types of rules are the most common, and there are many supreme experts who constantly forge these rules to make them mature. Have you ever thought that in the endless starry sky, there are some worlds that are created by special laws of energy? For example, sometimes only spatial energy exists, and those worlds are not suitable for humans or demonic beasts to live in. However, experts can use it to gain enlightenment. There are also some worlds where a certain energy is especially prominent. For example, the energy of metal. This has led to the entire continent cultivating the energy of metal, causing it to multiply to the extreme. This point was very easy for all the experts to understand. It was like some major powers cultivating a certain type of energy, it's just that they magnified it to a whole world. These words sounded like ordinary logic when they heard it, but it was the simplest version of the Great Tao. Without sufficient knowledge and experience, it was impossible for them to say it out loud. At this moment, Qin Wenyan was thinking about how many worlds there were in this boundless world. Were the 33 immortal realms really the only worlds? In that case, for those places where immortal emperors couldn't reach, where did the ancient emperors go to? These words of the simplest version of the Great Tao were sufficient to make everyone ponder about the existence of the world, ponder about the essence of cultivation, and ponder about the origin of law energy. Although it seemed simple, it would definitely be of great use to the future cultivation of these experts. Everyone sank into contemplation as they quietly listened. The words of the other party were ethereal, bringing everyone into the true world of cultivation. After a long time, everyone slowly closed their eyes. They felt as though they had entered the boundless starry space, sitting in the midst of countless constellations. Each constellation contained a powerful law energy, but because they weren't proficient in that law energy, it was very difficult for them to absorb it. But even so, they could still clearly sense it. This feeling was extremely wondrous, causing them to be unwilling to wake up. In their minds, the voice of the Great Tao rang out. These words were like the voice of the Great Tao. The so-called Tao recitation wasn't empty talk. Maybe only now would they understand why listening to the words of the Great Tao surpassed 10 years of cultivation. Even after the voice of the Great Tao stopped, the experts still hadn't awoken. The voice of the Great Tao continued to reverberate in their minds, causing them to ponder and ponder. The words of this expert were sufficient to cause many experts to ponder for the rest of their lives. All of them entered a wondrous state, forgetting time, forgetting where they were. The voice of the Great Tao circulated around them, and in their imaginations, their bodies seemed to be situated in the boundless starry space, pondering, comprehending, or cultivating. In fact, there were even some experts who had astral light cascading down on them. They were unknowingly cultivating, and their cultivation speed was extremely fast. It was like they had entered the state of enlightenment that stellar martial cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. Such a state could only be discovered by chance and not sought. However, the Tao recitation by the Sacred Academy had actually caused all the experts to enter such a state. In the vast immortal realms, it was unknown if there were any other experts who could achieve this. The disciples of these peak powers, the supreme experts of their clans and clans, all didn't have such an extraordinary ability. Qin Wenyan quietly sat on his immortal seat. From the start till the end, he didn't say a single word and was quietly listening. At this moment, a brilliant light circulated around him. His terrifying body shone with fiend god light as the light of truth shone brilliantly. If he continued to cultivate like this, The growth speed of his body might very well surpass Immortal Foundation, and he would be able to use his body to form a body of laws. Astral light cascaded down. Amidst the boundless constellations, he seemed to be able to sense his constellations and was summoning energy from them. After hearing the Tao recitation by the Sacred Academy, a strange feeling appeared in his heart. It felt like the energy of his constellations had all grown stronger. Each constellation contained a terrifying amount of law energy, allowing him to directly break through to Immortal Foundation. Even his cultivation speed would be boosted. In the starry space, an ethereal figure quietly stared at everyone. At this moment, the light radiating from one of the immortal seats gradually dimmed. That immortal seat actually began to flow, moving towards the back, to the last position. In the next instant, the light radiating from that immortal seat vanished as he opened his eyes. Ooh! At the instant that person opened his eyes, he drew in a deep breath and stared at the scene before him. It felt like everything he experienced earlier in the starry space was an illusion. The 3,000 immortal seats in the Sacred Academy, as well as that unmoving statue, were the real world. My cultivation seems to have improved a little. He silently mused as he sensed the power of his Immortal Foundation. Not only so, the most important thing was the change in his state of heart. This time around, the Tao recitation by the Sacred Academy benefited him greatly. My seat. He glanced to his left and right. His immortal seat had actually shifted and was now at the back. The others were still immersed in their cultivation and had yet to wake up. Upon seeing this scene, he couldn't help but to feel a sense of pity. He had already been in a state of enlightenment for 3 months, and it was actually the shortest. The others were still in a state of enlightenment. In that case, his harvest might be the smallest. Sighing silently in his heart, he didn't leave but continued to close his eyes in cultivation, trying to comprehend the great Tao spoken of by that expert, hoping that his strength and state of heart would grow stronger. Time slowly flowed by, more and more people woke up and discovered that their seats had changed. They didn't disturb the others and continued to cultivate in peace. Within the Sacred Academy, everyone felt that this place was extremely holy and no one dared to be impudent. A year passed and more than half of the people had already woken up. Yet, no one left. 2 years later, more than half of the people had already woken up, yet no one left. Gradually, as the immortal seats shifted, only those in the top 10 rows were still cultivating. Being able to comprehend for such a long period of time, it was clear that their improvements were extremely great. For those who had already woken up, many of them had their cultivation bases improved, breaking through to the next level. The comprehension abilities of these people are extraordinary. After listening to the lecture of that expert, it took them a long time to comprehend. Someone stared ahead as he spoke. Next, even for those in the top 10 rows, there were more and more people who had woken up as their seats shifted again. 3 years later, the various experts woke up one after another. Namhuang Yunxi, Nanfeng Xinge and the others all woke up, as well as the experts from the Battle Saint tribe. At this moment, only those in the top 5 rows remained. Nanfeng Yunxi's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian's silhouette. He was now at the end of the 5th row. Most probably, even Qin Wentian himself didn't know that he was already at the 5th row. The experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom stared at Qin Wentian with unsightly expressions on their faces. This fellow's talent was at the peak, his comprehension abilities were extraordinary and his potential was terrifying. The Tenlon Heaven Kingdom only had one person remaining in the 4th row. They had to persist on and not be surpassed by Qin Wentian. At this moment, Qin Wentian radiated a terrifying energy. Divine light circulated around him as a supreme aura cascaded down from the sky. Unknowingly, his cultivation base grew stronger, stepping into the 4th level of Immortal Foundation. This was the 2nd time his cultivation base rose after he entered the Sacred Academy. Namhuang Yunxi's beautiful eyes flashed with a smile. It wasn't strange for Qin Wentian's cultivation base to rise. During the moment of enlightenment, many people had their cultivation bases improved as well, including her. Qin Wentian's cultivation base originally wasn't high, He was only at the 3rd level of Immortal Foundation. It was relatively easy for him to raise his cultivation base, and it was only logical that he stepped into the 4th level now. 3 years of enlightenment was equivalent to tens of years of cultivation. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.